Check out the starting lineup for race number 4 of the championship, and here's an all Red Bull Racing Australia front row with Jamie Whincup and Craig Lowndes, the dominant forces. Red Bull have had 4 poles so far this year, amazing. Russell Ingall, what a terrific performance, and he's alongside Courtney. Then it's David Reynolds and Mark Winterbottom flying the Ford flag brilliantly. 7th and 8th, we've got Scotty McLaughlin with the question mark over the power steering on the car. Van Gisbergen alongside him for VIP Pet Foods. Then Chaz Mostert, the Ford Pepsi Max, alongside the old guy from that team the year previous, Will Davison. Well, he's not that old, but he's a former teammate in that operation. Lee Holdsworth and Garth Tander, 13 and 14. It's good to see the Erebus cars looking strong this weekend.
Scotty Pye and Tim Slade from 15th and 16th. Then we run into a few of the Nissans. James Moffat, his dad Alan won here 5 times. Todd Kelly's won here before 2. So 3 of the Nissans in a row, with Rick Kelly starting from 19th. Jason Bright, who was a winner here last year, he split his teammate Fabian Coulthard's 2 wins. He's going to find himself mid-pack, and we go back to Dale Wood in position 24 and Nick Percat. Remember, his qualifier was extinguished when he found the gravel at turn 4 and activated a red flag, so he goes to the back of the field. A new livery for car 222. You'll check it out throughout the race. Heavy Haulage Australia Racing now sponsoring. It looks pretty funky too. On board we are. The whole stack of cars and a whole stack of cameras to give you the best angle of the best touring car category in the world. Super Cheap Auto Racing of Tim Slade. Start from 16th, and there's Whincup. He's just arrived here after a bad finish to the Clipsal weekend. The first time in 9 years that he hasn't walked away from the opening round of the V8 Supercar Championship, either first or second. Scotty McLaughlin, he might look like Popeye after the end of the day with those big forearms bulging with no power steering in the Volvo S60. It's going to be hard work.
They've made some changes to it. I just spoke to Richard Holway about it. And they've made some changes to the plumbing again for the start of this. So we'll just see what happens in terms of his physical condition. But the hairpin especially has a big impact.
Nobody has won more races at this circuit than Jamie Whincup. 8 wins next to his name. Garth Tander's won 7 times here. Craig Lowndes has won 6 times. But this time, they've got the enforcer hovering on the second row of the grid. Be a return to racing for Russell Ingall. There he is ahead of us. So look out for car 23. He's on a search and destroy mission to the top step if he can do it, but he doesn't get away well. Russell has been swamped. Craig Lowndes shoots ahead. And now Russell Ingall's going to have to fight his way back through. He dropped at least 2, maybe 3 spots off the start. Through turn 3, James Courtney said it's like wrestling a bear through there. Down at the hairpin, 50 kilometres an hour. Big switch back to the left. Do you take the high side or the low side? They all get through cleanly. Riding on board with Whincup, now the back straightaway. Wind into their nose, so about 260 Ks. Side by side, it's Will Davison and Chaz Mostert. And behind them is Garth Tander. And they get through cleanly, but Mostert will be the loser, and a little bump. And that's it, over and done. 1 lap in under a minute.
Bad jump there for Jamie Whincup. Lowndes a very good start. He missed the kick and got too much wheel spin. Lowndes was able to easily get across in front and dominate the first corner of this race. Ingall, bad start. He's caught up in between the FPR sandwich with Reynolds and Winterbottom.
Look at Van Gisbergen round the outside, and Reynolds has gone round the outside of Ingall. Van Gisbergen tried to do the same. He's got some bodywork loose in the back left-hand corner of that car. It's torn the side off the bumper assembly. But Russell's initial jump was poor. He had wheel spin or bogged down. But the secondary part of the start, he recovered a bit, but he's really getting a brutalisation out there at the moment. They're jumping around on him, as I can hear the race director asking staff to look carefully at the back left-hand corner of that car.
See how unsettled the Volvo of Scott McLaughlin was as it rode the curves there alongside Shane Van Gisbergen. So the Giz needs to post points here because he's going to start at the back of the field in the next race.
So Jamie had a look up the inside of Craig there, and he's got a shallower exit line. What he'll be hoping to do is get into position. And look at this. It's on again back at the hairpin. And this is Ingle on the right, Reynolds on the left. And this puts Russell in the box seat when they get down to turn 6, but he's got to go the long way. There was a little bit of contact on that opening lap between them, and Russell's got the elbows up. Oh, lock brake. Frosty had a bird's eye view of Ingle getting up the inside of Reynolds.
It's pretty lively. That was a good pass, Russell Ingle. Well constructed, good manoeuvre. Got him on the outside through the kink, and then on the inside for turn 6. We're on board there with McLaughlin. This is a pretty fierce battle with Van Gisbergen in the middle of this.
David Reynolds slid beneath the bridge then, and that would have made his exit fractionally slower. That's tightened the pack up even more behind him. So Winterbottom just trying to position to the outside now to do what Russell Ingle did on David Reynolds. He's got good corner exit speed, Winterbottom, and he's going to put that move on. He's done it quite well.
Van Gisbergen's going to have a look too. Oh, but he's going to have to hold it up. Reynolds turns in on him, but the VIP Pet Foods Commodore goes through.
Good job. That was a very good pass.
And David's car's sliding a lot at the back at the moment, and just that little bit of instability's cost him dearly. So a couple of spots in half a lap, they're gone.
Now that front four just settle down. Ingle's got a big gap between him and James Courtney.
Here's Will
on the inside at 4.
He'll get him. Oh, he hasn't got enough steering lock to actually pull it down tight. So a little crunch there delayed Davis, and that makes him slow off the corner. Tander's having a crack. It's all happening in Tassie.
The first of 2 100-kilometre races this afternoon, live on 7 Sport. The Tyrepower Tasmania 400. Craig Lowndes, our race leader. He's 0.3 of a second ahead of his teammate, Jamie Whincup, who has put down fastest times over the last 2 laps. Now look at this. A little bit of give and take, a little bit of push and shove. Did he jump? Did he go too fast? He got a great jump. The man out of that picture was Russell Ingle. So watch Russell start. This is from David Reynolds behind him. And they just swamped him.
It was a terrible start for Russell. Like, it didn't let the handbrake off. So when it first jumped, it just didn't even move. This is the drama in the middle of the field with Fabian, Garth, and around the outside is David Wall. So there were 3 abreast trying to get into turn 1. And the real winners and losers out of this is Tander's jumped 5 spots. Dave Reynolds back 6 spots. Good, a lot of contact, good save there from Garth. A lot of opposite lock on that car to get through. Mostert also down 5 spots.
Bit of other stuff going on in the pack. Fabian Coulthard reporting no drive. There he is, middle of screen at the moment, the Lockwood entry. So he's down the order slightly, 10th. He was a winner here last year. Jason Bright also down the order at the moment. They changed that car dramatically back to last year's setup. He was a winner here last year, so they've abandoned the experiments that they were running with yesterday. Larko?
Yeah, just picking up on you boys noticing Mostert down in the pack. I was watching him early in the race. When you come out of the hairpin, if you're going to put yourself on the outside, nothing wrong with that, and you run down into turn 6 on the outside, all very good, but you've got to have a look in your mirror. If there's cars lined up behind the car you're trying to go around the outside of, chances are you're not going to lose 1 spot, you're going to lose 2, 3 and 4. Exactly what happened to Chaz. You've got to think 3 corners ahead all the time around here.
It's a rapid lap. The other thing that's changed today relative to yesterday, temp's up, but so's the wind direction different from yesterday. So it was a southerly yesterday, and it was quite noticeably cooler. Today the temperature is up and the wind direction's 180 degrees. It's right on the nose of Jack Perkins' car there, car number 18 for Geldwen. So Jack at the moment is 21st. It's an angry pack, and there's his team boss Charlie Schwerkolt, who said to me yesterday he's really impressed with the way in which Jack's working his way into the team, learning to understand the car, getting the most from it.
And he's going to have a much better starting position in the next race, Crompo. They made some changes in that short break between the 2 qualifying sessions, and Jack will start race 2 this afternoon from 12th spot. So now Whincup's got into that groove. Look at that. Now the last 4 laps, he's done better times in 3 out of the 4, and he's fastest to the second sector on this lap again. So he's closed the gap. He's now getting himself into position to have a crack at Lowndes. It's a 42-lap race, so there's no need to get a hurry along really at this stage, but when Whincup's in this frame of mind, he usually doesn't mess around.
The guy that's having a nice protected run at the moment is James Courtney. He's got lots of fresh air in front of him, and he's got a little bit of a buffer to Russell Ingall 4th at the moment, so that's convenient. Here's that curb cam, which actually showed you the gap from this group back to the third car in the pack there, which was Courtney. Wanted to make the point also that Coulthard's continuing to complain about the car. He's got a bad cold this weekend as well, so his terminology, not mine. I'm all bunged up.
I went and spoke to Jamie Whincup. I said, it's one of the best laps I've seen you put on. He said how out of control he was at turn 6 trying to get it stopped. And then he said, I thought I buggered it. I bumped the curb in that last corner. He said, I thought it was over. I'm going to be 3rd or 4th. So he was really surprised by the eventual lap time. On board now with Dave Reynolds.
Slip back to 11th.
So Dave Reynolds, as I said earlier, is one of the guys that lost a lot of ground early in this race. He's in 11th.
Watch this, from 240 all the way back through the gears, on the brakes, down to 50.
Meantime, Lowndes has responded with the fastest lap of the race with the pressure from his teammate, 52.1. Remember, there's a bit of a headwind today, so just a little less than the peak values that we often quote. So we normally see up to 265 down the back straight, so about 5K softer there with the breeze. They've had a little snatch of the gear lever and the steering there on the gear shift. But 3rd to 4th when you come off turn 6, and a mechanical black flag, by the way, for Shane Van Gisbergen. So the race director's just made that call. Back with more in a moment.
Welcome back, Flat Out Racing. You're on board with Mark Winterbottom, who's trying to hunt down Russell Ingall, who is in 4th. But the true believers are there for the enforcer. Remember, he started from 3rd, dropped a bunch of spots off the grid, and is now trying to push his way back onto the podium. So let us know what you think. v8supercars.com.au, 7 Sport app, 81%. Finish this one off by saying he will get another spot at least in between now and lap 42.
He's clinging to that position at the moment in 4th, and the back of it sliding a lot. Just as we were coming out of the break, then we're observing the back of the car. Right here at turn 6, it was in evidence as well. And he was having to just glide the car and at the same time protect, because he's got Mark Winterbottom all over him. It's about 3.5 odd seconds up the road to James Courtney before he can achieve that podium. And off up the road here at turn 4 at the hairpin, Rick Kelly, Jack Daniels Racing, running wide, and damage contact, Todd Kelly and Jack Perkins. And Todd was on the radio just as we went to the break saying, I think I've broken an upright, and that's in the garage at the moment, that car number 7 for the repair. And that upset, obviously, both those cars and resulted in this.
And that's just cause and effect, isn't it? I mean, Rick went off. As he comes back on, Jack tries to get out of the way and ends up clunking into Todd. Had a standout weekend here back in 2008, Toddler. He went from 10th to victory in the Jack Daniels Commodore, and then had a pair of 3rds for the rest of the weekend, but it hasn't started well, this one. So 47 versus 4 is Slade against Holdsworth, and they're battling for position 14. Ahead of them is Chaz Mostert.
Tim Slade together with James Courtney and Nick Percat. They're off with Phil Young, their trainer, next week on a training camp to get beaten up for a few days, running and riding and swimming and all the rest of it. He's getting fairly beaten up there at the moment. He's in 14th position at the moment, Tim Slade. Everywhere you look, there's a serious battle going on. So you've got 12th and 13th, Scott Pye and Chaz Mostert. They're very close. David Wall's very close in all this. You blink and you're in trouble there at the moment. The spread across the entire field. Shane Van Gisbergen took his penalty to get that bodywork removed. So if you discount him, it's 27 seconds covering 23 cars, I should say. And they're on their 20th lap.
And at the front, guys, the gap's stretched out a bit. Craig Lowndes to Whincup. It's hovering around 0.8 of a second now. It was pretty much on a second, and perhaps this will explain why. So the last turn, and that can lead to disaster.
That'll definitely do it. Ooh.
Right rear in the dirt, rooster tail, rocks flying, no speed in that, and the corresponding heart rate goes well north.
Well, and remember, it's fast. It's 165k, the slowest part of that corner. So that's more like 180 or 190 kilometres an hour when you're out in the paddock, out of control.
Boys, while we're in that last ad break, Shane Van Gisbergen in the VIP Commodore, who has been very competitive all this weekend, was running very strongly, has had to come in and have a pit stop. Black flag, mechanical black flag, because parts were falling off the car. Now, this is his rear left bumper we saw flapping around, and as you can see, it's a composite material. It's actually very light. I was speaking to Frank Addison, the category technical manager, who's got to make these decisions. He hates making the decisions, but as you can see, that in itself is not dangerous. But what he's worried about, if it flies off, goes into the crowd or something, it is dangerous, so that's why he does it.
Speaking of, we've got a car flying off down there at the end of the back straight, and it is Rick Kelly, so that's going to trigger a safety car. He's just going to dig a deeper hole, I think. It's a high speeder too, that one, but the gravel trap does its job beautifully.
Looks like there's some brake drama there with that one, Matt. You don't normally end up that far down the road like that. Rick come into this race, 4th in the championship, remember? The best start he's had for a long time.
Petter's safety car will be activated, so we'll grab a break. Back soon. Now this has changed the game completely, this safety car. Craig Lowndes was in cruise control at the front of the field, but now this compresses everything. It brings them all back in to the argument. Whincup be nestled in behind Lowndes. Courtney in 3rd. Russell Ingall now in 4th. The rolling restart to come. This is juicy. This is juicy. Right on half-time.
It's a little incentive that Russell Ingall needed to be able to just claw that margin back. Gets him right in touch again with James Courtney. Everybody's tyres cool out, reinvigorates. They all have a chance to talk to their engineers about car behaviour, make some little brake bias or anti-roll bar adjustments, and there's the reason we've got the Petters Chrysler safety car out. Rick Kelly firing off at turn 6 into the gravel trap, which arrested the car in just the right spot without making the fence, thankfully, and he's out there now. But on the radio, subsequent to that, he was talking to them about the front brakes. Mark Scaife said before the break that would possibly explain why a car goes off at such high speed, that there had to be some sort of a technical issue, and certainly Rick suspects so, something to do with the front brakes. That was the early part of the conversation that they'll now verify when they look at that car.
So remember, there's been a change to the restarts. The speed has been increased for the lead car, and it has to stay in between 60 kilometres per hour and 80. All cars must remain directly in line and within 1 car length by the acceleration zone. So the 2 acceleration zone boards is Damien White, man in charge of the rules. So there we go. There's 2 boards. And the positioning of these boards, I think, is critical. You can see it there behind the United Petroleum sign at the exit of turn 7. That's the first one. And then the second one is right up towards the control line.
Just back to 80 when you go through.
So once the lead car gets into that zone, he's in control. He can go whenever he wants.
And if you're smart, in this particular case, you go early.
You go straight away because the rest of the field is still coming around the final bend.
So the driving standards observer Jason Bargwana at the drivers' briefing last night asked the drivers, which in this case will be Craig Lowndes, has the responsibility when the safety car peels away to choose a speed and level off at that speed between the 60 and the 80. What he doesn't want to see is accelerating or decelerating in that zone. So he wants to settle at a speed and then go at the driver's choosing.
This has really helped Russell Ingall, guys. It was a big gap back to Courtney. This has put him back in contention to get on the podium.
70, you'll cast to stop weaving in a single line, less than 1 kilometre from the car in front, about a car length from the car in front.
There's to be no passing before they get to the control line. They can overlap, they can't pass. So they're coming up to the zone.
Got to get the car straight before you gas it up.
So Lowndes is in control. It's all up to him. Then it's up to them to chase. So he goes right on the corner. It makes it hard for the others.
There was a bit of weirdness back in the pack.
And it's continuing.
I've got a feeling that Garth may have gone early there. That'll be curious to have a look at. The transponders will tell the story, but I've got a feeling that something might have happened with Coulthard. The reason why Tander shot around him is a bit strange.
And I'm pretty sure Chaz Mostert just ran into the back of somebody, one of the Wilson cars, probably Scotty Pye. Look at the damage to the front of car 6, and now he's losing bits and pieces out the front. And I reckon you're right, Crompo. Garth Tander did get caught up, and I think what he tried to do was make sure that he didn't overtake, he didn't overlap. And maybe in doing that and trying to redress the situation, there's some contact there. Back to racing. Slade on the outside of Bright.
The Wilson Security Dick Johnson racing cars, car 18, pit lane drive-through penalty. Jack Perkins driving infringement. So Perkins is going to tour the pit lane. The two Wilson Security Dick Johnson racing cars got together up at the hairpin on the restart there too.
Well, and they made contact at turn 2. So Scott Pye was down the inside and smashed into the side of David Wall.
Now the Jack Perkins black flag, by the way, is for contact on Michael Caruso, car number 36. I didn't explain that.
So out of all that, Lowndes did the perfect job. You watch him, as soon as he gets there, he goes. Now keep your eyes on Tander.
Oh, he definitely
he's over.
past
He's
car
passed.
9. Yeah, he's passed before the control line, so that's it's going to be an issue.
Oh,
look at this, up the front. It's contact.
And that sends
Whincup
Lowndes off. Incredible. The teammates made contact. The leader of the race goes off. Slides way back.
That's what they don't want inside a single-team garage. Awkward situation there. Whincup having a lunge. It made us stop and think for a moment while we were considering that start. Here comes Courtney. He's well in the game here. One little hiccup and it changes everything.
So 1, 2 and 3 is now Whincup, Courtney and Winterbottom, who's got past Ingle.
That was a really big dive in Whincup. And what happens is once you've made that commitment, you've made the decision, you ride it. So as Craig goes to turn in, it's unavoidable at that point not to make contact. Here it is. Down the inside, on the dirty part of the road. He's battling to stop. Craig turns it in. He was probably up far enough to command track position. And they make contact pretty heavily. Lowndes, series leader, out in the paddock. On board now with Whincup. He's come from about a car length back. Now watch, he battles to stop. He gets it stopped. He's up there. He fed it second gear. He runs into the front door, so he's up far enough. And the contact was significant enough to unload Craig Lowndes. So stressful conditions in here for the guys. Mark Dutton in the centre.
Overseeing the operations now, Mark Dutton. David Couchy in Jamie Whincup's corner, and Jeremy Moore remains Craig Lowndes as chief engineer.
And he may carry some scars from that, Jamie Whincup, because when you make that level of contact in this spot here, big chance to damage the steering on that side of the car, front right corner in this instance, and be curious to see whether or not it just settles down in its pace, but that's going to put big stress in the garage.
Yeah, down here with Mark Dutton, mate. Usually you're one of these two guys. You're in an awkward position at the moment, mate. Looked to me like Jamie was pretty well in there.
Yeah, I think he was up past the B. Maybe Craig didn't see him. You see Craig from the in-car. Looks like possibly he turned in. We'll have to have a look after. Yeah, the first and foremost, we tell the boys don't touch each other. So they'll both be copping a bit of a flogging after the race, no matter the outcome.
Do you think they'll be dirty with each other, though, mate, or do you think they're good enough mates and been together long enough to see through it?
Oh, in the long run, they'll see through it. But right now, I think there's a bit of red mist, and they wouldn't be happy either with themselves or with each other, depending on who made the mistake.
All right, thanks for the heads up, pal.
Cheers, Marco.
It's pretty clear Mark Dutton's going to wield a big stick at the end of this race, regardless of the result, because he just doesn't want that happening at Red Bull Racing Australia.
And it places Lowndes in 11th. from battling for the lead of the race. That's a big deal. So is that heart rate number for James Courtney. He's chasing down Whincup. Stay with us.
Craig Lowndes is desperately trying to salvage this situation, which will now be under investigation post-race. The contact between cars 1 and 888, so Whincup and Lowndes will be investigated. Lowndes now back up to 9th. So he's made up a couple of spots. And down here at the hairpin, contact on David Wall. James Courtney looking back to Mark Winterbottom, who's been super quick all day. He started in 6th. He's up to 3rd. In the last 5 years at this circuit, Mark Winterbottom has finished no worse than 6th in every race, but only 1 win next to his name in his history here.
And he's got a 100% finishing record here too, Matt. He's had an extraordinary run over a long period of time. It'll be an interesting one to resolve, the car 1 versus car 888 brawl at turn 6. It's going to be a little bit difficult to unravel that one, but it's the right thing to do to be investigated. There was a time where nothing happened when it was within the team, but it's still an all. It does need to be looked at, and it will be looked at.
I totally agree. And when you're the series leader, big implications, and especially, we'll talk about it soon, it might end up with a penalty for the next race. So if that happened to Lowndes, you go into the day as the leader, and 2 races on, you're away.
So Courtney, remember, he finished off the Clipsal 500 with a fantastic victory and celebrated with some crowd surfing to go with it. And he's in a good frame of mind. He's 2.4 seconds behind Whincup.
Matt, if you can just look down there, this is why Davey Reynolds just come in. This is called a delaminated front tyre. Now, why that is, he's obviously flat spotted it at some point, but you get a really good look at the steel belts of the tyre there, how the carcass works, and he would have felt that knowing he's a drama, and he'll be out of the game. Now, while I'm here, just quickly come out here, you'll see right there is the Ford Performance Racing pit next to the Red Bull pit. When that little incident happened over there, I heard an almighty cheer come out of the Ford Performance Racing pit, and I went and said in there, what's everyone happy about? Is it someone's birthday? Let me tell you, they're pretty happy about proceedings.
We saw, thanks, Marco, we saw David Reynolds just getting out of Chaz Mostert's way a little earlier, and you could see he was mucking around with the steering, so he was aware of the fact that something wasn't right with the front of that car.
The S60, the Volvo of Scotty McLaughlin. If you missed V8 Extra earlier in the day, make sure you jump online and find the video of Scott and Robert Dahlgren and their trip up to Sweden in between our last event and this one. Boy, did they have some fun on the ice. They also toured the Polestar and Volvo factories in Gothenburg. Robert showed him around his hometown in the northeast of Sweden. And Scotty even took a jandal into the wind tunnel. As you do.
So this is a really good battle, Matt, because Scott McLaughlin's made quite good progress right up behind Eagles, so it's battling for 4th position. You see Russell there, he's been struggling with oversteer through the final corner the whole race. We were on board with Mark Winterbottom earlier and showed that. Scott struggling with his power steering problem. We'll see the steering technique down at the hairpin, which we know that he's really battling there. So this is your leader. And what a good job Jamie Whincup has done. Courtney Winterbottom, there's the battle there with Ingle, McLaughlin, Tander, Davison. There was a lot of drama there at the restart, which we'll get our brain around also.
And those Pulsar split times just clicked over to show us that Russell Ingle is 2.5 seconds adrift of 3rd spot. Mark Winterbottom, that's probably the biggest one as we roll through the splits, because the restart just didn't really help Russell in terms of positions.
Doesn't quite have the car speed at the moment, does he, Russell? It's just not quite there. It's too loose at the back for him at the moment. Gisbergen's done a good job in recovery, aided by the safety car. Keep in mind he's had to come in pit lane, drag off a bit of bodywork and go back out there. So 12th means a decent haul of points, and he might get more at the moment. That's David Wall that he's attacking.
I had a good conversation with him earlier, and he obviously had really good car speed at Adelaide. He had a good car at the Australian Grand Prix meeting. And then for him at this place, able to get the car stopped. At this spot is where he's been complaining about. He's complaining about that now because he actually dived in there too late at that point. He might be in a bit of strife for that because he pushed Wall wide and he really couldn't hold it on line. So, although he's made good progress, there might be a little bit of chat to Shane after the event with that pass on David Wall at turn 4.
Pretty much see that one coming. It just, it was brewing. Here's Rob Dahlgren.
Rick Kelly looking on.
So both the Kelly brothers on the sidelines, and Jason Bright.
Big lock up in behind Tim Slade there. It's been on the radio quite a bit, Jason Bright. They've not found a happy spot with the setup of that car. 14th and 15th. These two fellas arguing over at the moment. That's Nick Percat right behind. Lee Holdsworth tucked in under him and giving him a little...
It's on under him.
Yes, being the operative.
Big rebuild, of course, for the car that we're looking back at, Team VOC. Last time we saw it in championship action, it was flying through the air at Adelaide in a scary crash, but a tremendous rebuild job captured by Brad Jones Racing. So Courtney and Winterbottom continue to slug it out. That's Whincup further up the road. 3 laps for him to go.
James has been sweating. Oh, look at this contact, and actually Frosty did the right thing then. He knew that he gave him a knock. He lifted the throttle and waited, actually penalised himself. James has been sweating with this pressure in recent laps. Tim Edwards in the garage, team principal, Pepsi Max Ford Performance Racing. But it's been a good job by Winterbottom. He's been chipping away hard in this game. He cleared Russell Ingall in all that kerfuffle early on. And he's been applying a lot of pressure. It's going to cost him a couple of laps, though, to be able to get back now in touch with James after that.
Exactly, now he's driven really well. Probably been the driver of the race. Lowndes around the outside. Oh, gee, that's wild. That's fast. It's so easy to make the grass and then make the fence either on the right or the left, depending on the trajectory when you get to the grass there. So healthy battle going on there with Fabian Coulthard. That's for 8th and 9th position. Winterbottom's done a very good job. And I thought just then, with a little back off, that was quite a responsible thing, Crompo. He could have run him on. He could have actually spun him around if he stayed on the throttle. He got right out of the throttle and sorted that out for themselves. And remember, this time last year, Fabian Coulthard pulled a pass on Winterbottom, almost exactly the same, and was actually overtaken for the lead. So he'll have that in his memory. Fabian blocking now down at the end of the main straight. This is where Lowndes went off with his teammate. A lap to go.
Quite a run last year for Fabian. I bet he just couldn't wait to get back here. I know he's not feeling well with the flu, but he qualified on the front row last year in all 3 races and won 2 of them. And it really kick-started that part of the season for him. He went on to claim his first championship pole at Pukekohe and then win another race a little bit later in Austin, Texas. Momentum's a big thing in any sport, especially motorsport. So Whincup, that's the gap. 3 seconds back to James Courtney. The incident will be investigated between him and his teammate Craig Lowndes. But after starting on the front row, in pole position, Jamie Whincup takes the checkered flag.
Situation, guys. Obviously, the move is well and truly on, but unfortunately, it worked out the way we all wanted it to. But,
Courtney and Winterbottom on the podium. Russell Ingall in 4th. And that shows you the gravity of the situation. There's David Couchy.
Great job. Good drive. We'll talk to you when you get back.
It's not often a bloke can win a race and apologise straight up. It's the first thing he said back to the team. So he'll take it. Car speed's there. No doubt about that. So Ingall in 4th. Scott McLaughlin in 5th. Garth Tander up to 6th. Will Davison for Erebus in 7th. Craig Lowndes, he ends up in 8th. So he saved himself, or made up another 3 spots after the incident. And let's take a look at this. Last corner, last lap. We'd seen it coming, and it eventually did. And how does he hold on to that, Lowndes?
What a great save. What a great bit of car control. Not too many guys in this field would get away with that one.
Car out of control. Fabian Coulthard 9th and Scott Pye finishes 10th. Shane van Gisbergen, after having to come through and clear loose bodywork, went to the back of the field, finished in 11th. So that's good signs for him in the next race. He will start from the rear of the grid.
To Mark's point, though, he may get looked at for the dive bomb on David Wall up at turn 4.
So that makes 9 victories at this circuit for Jamie Whincup. Certainly helps his championship cause.
Jamie won't be looking forward to having to manage the next few minutes of his life.
No, this is ugly stuff. We've all had to live this one. This is, you know, inter-team politics and drama with guys that are at the front of the field. Craig leading the championship, gets out, shakes hands with David Couchy. David's the new engineer responsible for Jamie this year. Mark Dutton will be the guy that'll have to manage this. Chris Brady there on the left, who's the team physio.
And so that's a fascinating play, isn't it? Because Mark Dutton was the man in Jamie's corner in the most successful run in V8 Supercars, and now he's going to have to be, well, the principal here. He's going to have to be the man who comes down hard on these guys.
And it'll be interesting to see, because I don't think Roland will get involved in this. He'll make sure that the new team structure handles this. Jeremy Moore there is Craig Lowndes' engineer. Very, very good operator. Yeah, so I think we're going to go outside. I think we're going outside rather than staying in the garage.
We're so used to the Craig Lowndes smile, but we know when the smile is hurting.
Well, what we've also seen too, Matt, is the level of intensity.
Jamie, firstly, congratulations, mate. Great win, but it's quite evident what's going on in the room here. You're disturbed. Look like you're in there, but it's difficult when it's inter-team, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's an unfortunate situation. I'm sorry about the situation. Lowndesy, he deserved to finish higher than that, but I'm certainly not sorry about the mover. And I think it was a textbook move down the inside. I was well and truly in there. It was a standard move. Yeah, that's unfortunate. That's the way it goes. I feel like I haven't done anything wrong, but it's disappointing that we didn't have a 1-2, which is what the team deserved.
Mate, can I say, I don't think you should either. Just looking at the replay, and you'll get to see them yourself. There's no doubt you're in there, you're up. If it was anyone else, we would have taken any notice of it.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I'm going to have an awkward conversation with Lowndesy. We've been mates for 10 years, and hopefully I can continue, but I'll try to smooth it over as much as I can. But as I say, I was just out there racing hard, and you get that sometimes.
You're a good sportsman, mate. That's good stuff. Well done.
Thanks, Logan.
James Courtney, Frank the Tank was out in form at the Clipsal 500. A nice way to start off the weekend here at Symmons Plains, second in the podium.
Yeah, exactly. I thought for a minute when Lowndesy and Jamie come together down the bottom there that he might be out again, but yeah, he managed to stay in front. Those cars were both pretty strong. But no, we did pretty well to hold off Mark. The car, in the end, looked after his tyres really quite well, so it was a pretty exciting race. But yeah, we're starting 17th in the next one, so I got a lot of work to do then. But no, it was good.
I know you're a very fit guy. You got out of the car, you sort of looked a bit hot. It's a small track, but it's a busy track.
Yeah, there's a lot going on, so it's over a short period of time. There's and plus when you're getting hounded from behind as well. But no, look, it's fun. It's good. The car's good. It's just now going to start back in the pack in the heat. So should be an exciting one. But hi to Kaz and the kiddies at home. Wish you guys were here.
Well, there you go. You've trophy here, a trophy girl ready for you. Congratulations, James Courtney. Be careful there.
It's broken. We'll take the top bit.
Hey, Mark Whitton, I'm just downloading with your engineer. Sorry to interrupt, mate. Come and grab yourself a trophy. Well done, P3. I get a sense, mate, this is the start this weekend of your championship assault.
Yeah, it's important to get a result. You know, we didn't start Adelaide the way we wanted, and we wanted to come here and show that we're a championship contender. And the car was good in the race. We're P3 in the next one, which is good. So, yeah, we'll try and see how we go and try and get amongst these two. But it's good seeing the other two guys fight. Maybe they can fight and I'll just blaze on through. I thought it was someone's birthday because there was a massive cheer come out of here when the two boys collected each other. Hey, well done on your behalf, though. When you got into the door of Garth Tander down there, sensible move. You got out of it yourself. Give yourself a little bit of a penalty, but smart thinking, mate. Well done. Yeah, I'm trying to have a go, and but I don't want to crash someone off. And, you know, James, we're having a good battle there, and it's hard under brakes. On TV it looks easy, and that's the problem when you watch, but the brakes are getting long and the car's moving around and you try and dive up the inside, but yeah, got out of it, had a crack, got out of it, and we finished third. I suppose James, he's not a bad guy, eh? has his moments, but in the next one I don't have to pass him, hopefully, so I'll try and worry about the other two in this one.
All right, well done, pal.
Thanks, mate. Cheers.
An incredible run continues here of Mark Winterbottom. He just has a habit of finishing up the front at Tasmania. So Ingle in 4th, Scotty McLaughlin there in 5th. That's how they rounded out the top 10 with Scott Pye inside the 10 for the Fords. So 11th through to 20. Chaz Mostert had his dramas throughout that race. Nick Percat fought back from the rear of the grid to 17th. And Robert Dahlgren in 20th for Gary Rogers Motorsport. And Volvo Polestar, Michael Caruso, Jack Perkins and Davey Reynolds, and Rick Kelly and Todd Kelly both DNF.
Fuso starting grid for race number 5. Jamie Whincup's got the pole position. It's been a great start to the championship. Mark Winterbottom will run with him off the front row. Then it is McLaughlin and Coulthard. They reckon they made a 20% improvement on the power steering of the Volvo, but they still haven't fixed the problem for Scotty McLaughlin in 33. Looking further afield, Todd Kelly in position 7, car 7, and it resolved his problems. Garth Tander will start alongside him. Then it's David Reynolds, car number 9. The back of the car was sliding too much for him, and a great qualifying performance, as Larko pointed out before, Robert Dahlgren. Jack Perkins, best of the season so far from position number 11, and with him will be Scotty Pye.
Rick Kelly had a DNF in the earlier race down there at turn 6. James Courtney, isn't it so interesting, this super sprint format? 1 minute he's on the podium, the next minute he's starting midfield. Russell Ingall, same. He started from position 3 earlier in the day. Now he's down in 17th. Chaz Mostert and Michael Caruso. Then Nick Percat and Tim Slade. The Super Cheap Auto Racing car 47 in position 22. Van Gisbergen in 24th. He actually came in contact with Scott Pye in the qualifying session, and a rear of the grid penalty for Craig Lowndes. That is why he is not on the front row. Taping over a safety hole in the driver's side window. He's been pinged and sent to the back of the class. On board there with Scotty Pye. Let's check in with Rihanna Crean. She's up there at turn 2, Rihanna.
Yeah, run as fast as I can, because this track, this is what makes it so special. It's the 42nd year V8 Supercars, the Australian Touring Car Championship, have come to this track, but it's here. It's on the hill. You can look back, see almost every single point of this little Symmons Plains circuit. The fans absolutely love it. I love it too. I can't wait to see the start of this race from right here in the middle of it.
If we wind back 12 months, Rihanna, you would have seen Scott Pye coming at you in a hurry. He ended up in the fence up towards that area, and it was quite scary. Interesting, though, he says he doesn't look back at that. He doesn't worry about it when he comes back here. He's just said it could have happened anywhere, any time. It's not specific to this circuit, but it was a big one.
Mark Winterbottom, the real beneficiary of this penalty to Lowndes to the back of the field. So Winterbottom to the front. I just spoke to him a little while ago. He's very happy with his car. It needs to be better at turn 2, is the comment from Mark Winterbottom.
Found out what the problem was with Rick Kelly as well. It was a leaky brake master cylinder.
So Winterbottom finds himself on the front row of the grid against Jamie Whincup, who's swept all before him already this weekend. They drag it up through to turn 2. Whincup holds his lead. A couple of Kiwis behind him in Coulthard and McLaughlin. And they rub panels.
Whincup was so close to that outside wall.
So McLaughlin got done by Coulthard, who gets up to turn 3. Now big lock-up. And Will Davison goes straight through at 4.
And that's just the... Oh, here we go. A lot of contact.
James Courtney is one of them, and it's Robert Dahlgren is the other car. So the good news for Davison is he didn't end up in the gravel down there, but drama between Dahlgren and Courtney, turn 4, and they're right now at the back of the pack. Oh, he's ended up beaching it after he's tried to rotate it, because he was actually stopped short of it when we looked at him on that last shot.
He's trying to turn it around, has ended up now stranded. So this will be safety car, because they won't be able to do anything with that car based on how heavily bogged it is. So Will was just...
He was actually stopped, and then he tried in that spot, and we watched him wander up there, and I actually made the remark, the good thing is he didn't end up in the gravel, because that's what everyone tries to avoid doing. That's what the extra bit of apron is. Here's the replay of the start. It's a ripper run from the front row for both these guys, that they had a big gap to row 2 by the time they got to turn number 3.
They were two really high-quality starts, weren't they? Those two guys, Whincup and Winterbottom, got very good starts, and then there was a bit of bumping between McLaughlin and Fabian. Same thing for the teammates with Holdsworth, and then this is down the outside, can't get stopped. Davison down there, so he's parked. That's what Neil said. That's where he was. And then he may have got the wrong gear then. He might have tried to get reverse, but it's got first.
Here it is again from external. So the front wheels drop off the ledge, but it's not enough to bog it. But when we came back and had a subsequent look, he's knee-deep at the beach.
So safety car straight out there gives us an opportunity to grab a break, bring you back, and the racing starts again. Well, that's the thing about Symmons Plains Raceway. One tiny error can have such a knock-on effect. James Courtney, Robert Dahlgren, Michael Caruso, Will Davison, all finding trouble in one way or another here. So just trying to keep my eye on Will to see. No, we still can't see that. And that's Dahlgren and Courtney.
But there's the explanation for the Russell Ingall damage, because he was involved in the kerfuffle that involved James Courtney and Robert Dahlgren there. See, he's a bit of a victim in that, because he cops one from Michael Caruso.
Yeah.
And there was a heap of them with nose-to-tail damage.
So Will Davison's just reported that he got his foot caught between the throttle and the brake there.
But that was the explanation of what happened up at the hairpin, and he just tried to flick spin it and buried it. Drove it off into the gravel. But the reason, the first reason was that that drama, which sounds strange at home, you think, how could they do that? But it's quite easy to do. You've only got to misposition your foot slightly on the brake pedal, and you're trying to use half the brake pedal and at the same time use the throttle to blip, synchronise the engine speed on those downshifts, and caught him and made a mistake.
When you exit 470 kilometres an hour, when you exit 470 kilometres an hour.
There was a shot inside the Erebus garage there a moment ago too of Greg Crick, Tasmanian former V8 supercar driver, still does a bit of racing today. He's been unwell just in the recent past. Caught up with him down here several days ago, and he's making a good recovery, and wishing him well in that recovery.
So safety car restart. The Pettis safety car will leave the field just down the back straight here, and it'll hand over control of the field to Jamie Whincup. They'll remain line astern until they get to the final turn where the acceleration zone board is, the first one. They'll have to maintain a speed between 60 and 80 kilometres until they get there, and then it's up to Whincup when he goes.
Yeah, we saw Michael Caruso just come into pit lane. He's actually come into pit lane twice. The first time they just put some race tape on the front of the car, and then he had to come back in again so that they could, as you can see on the screen, they are getting to it as hard as they can. Sledgehammers, bodies, fists, everything they possibly can to flatten that bonnet out and get him back into this race.
A bit of Mark Larkham body work.
It's like the ultimate fighting challenge.
Exactly. So here's the restart. This is the A to Z, acceleration zone. Back there near the United sign is where they position their cars and get themselves straight. And as Matt said before, this is a very critical method of him controlling the pace.
Now leader is
gone. Good job. Craig Lowndes did it well in the previous race. Whincup this time. Very good job. 3 abreast.
Oh, there's got to be contact, and there is big contact. This time it's Lee Holdsworth and David Reynolds, the victims. And Todd Kelly absolutely overtook somebody before the control line, so they'll have a look at that.
I think it was Tander down the inside in car 2 when they all basically clouted each other heavily. It looked like he was actually going to drill them pretty hard because he couldn't stop it down there. It was a big one.
That was a big one. So he was 3 wide. He was around the outside. He couldn't slow it down enough. He's on the dirty line. You see now Bright and Perkins battling at turn 6. Young Jack gets down the inside. Good job. A lot of damage on the front of Ingall's car. We saw that before. There's a lot of front and rear damage from the congestion at turn 4. And then as we saw at this spot, Tander was around the outside, 3 abreast. See there, the contact actually pulled the back wheels off the road there for Mostert into the back of James Moffat.
David Reynolds was a real victim in that. Just knocked him back down the field. He's back down to 17th, and he's under assault from Craig Lowndes at the moment, up at the hairpin turn 4.
For Lowndes fans, he's now gained 7 positions from starting at the back. Them all vying for track position here. Ingle around the outside.
He's got enough damage around the front. Oh, look at this. Percat on the dirty line, having real trouble stopping up the inside of Ingle. Gives him a whack. Through goes Lowndes. Ingle gets carted to the grass, and Percat gives it away. Look at the front of that thing. It's about to say that that's going to really affect the behaviour of that car. It's even worse now.
Just got to put it away now, Crompo.
It's been weird, hasn't it? Just the totally different rhythm to the previous. So Perkins up the inside now of Scott Pye. This is a good move, and he makes it stink. He's moved to 7th, and another problem back in the pack. This time it's Mostert gets together with David Wall. Wall's the spinner. He's backing down the road.
Whatever it is, shake it free if you can.
Meanwhile, in the front, Winterbottom, who's got good pace, is right behind Whincup.
And Jamie's car's sliding a lot more. In the couple of shots that I've seen, the back of the car looks a little unstable.
Whincup did a 52.4 as his fastest lap. Winterbottom on the last lap there is on the fastest lap of the race. That's why you see him come forward. So he did a 52.33, as I said, the fastest lap of the race so far. So he's got good pace.
See Jamie hugging the left side of the road. They're gradually easing it up a bit higher, just making sure that he carries enough speed and width to protect into turn 4.
So we've got some news on car 7, Todd Kelly, and 23, Russell Ingle, have breached the rules here at the start. Now keep your eye on car number 7, Todd Kelly. He rounded up one of the cars in between that acceleration zone and the control line. Now, you're not allowed to overlap before the control line. So a black flag pit lane penalty for Kelly and Ingle.
The slow-mo replay down at turn 2, and Garth's on the dirt. He launches the AMG car up onto 2 wheels with a massive shunt, and on the outside of that is the green car, David Reynolds, and just fires him off the road as well.
Both cars started inside the top 10, remember. So at the first acceleration zone board right there, Whincup goes. Now, on the left-hand side of our screen, Todd Kelly comes around the outside and gets the position ahead of Lee Holdsworth. You can't do it before the control line. That's why they pinged him.
And look at that. Look at that for contact. Those forces when the wheels make contact like that are very high. And you can see the Mercedes right up on 2 wheels as a consequence of that contact with Garth Tander.
So that takes Kelly out of the top 10. That's a real pity because he was running well at the restart. But Jamie Whincup has a real handful, and it's in the form of Mark Winterbottom. Back after this. Welcome back. Well, the action is all circling around Craig Lowndes. We're on Lowndes watch at the moment. He is pushing through the field, doing a remarkable job. Starting in 25th, he is now up to 9th.
Fortunately, the way it's all panned out with the amount of crash and bash and the mistakes that have been made along the way, it's opened up nicely. So he's been able to make a big going through the field. He's still doing very quick sector splits. He's run into the hairpin that time at turn 4. Was the best we've seen in the race. We're watching from Rick Kelly's car. Here's somebody else with some damage off to the left. It's Nick Percat that was coasting on the outside of the sweeper. And we'll see whether Lowndes continues this pace to the second timing intermediate, which was right there. It's not. But he's tucked right in now behind Scotty Pye, and Jason Bright just got a move there on Jack Perkins as we were watching them.
Yeah, Neil, Nick Percat just trying to keep out of the way. He's gone back out, a couple of laps down, broke a steering arm in contact in all that first lap debacle. But just keep an eye on Nick. I mean, he's a very quick young fella. I think he's matured nicely, and I reckon he's going to pop out of nowhere over the next few rounds. We're going to sort of say, where'd he come from?
Also just picking up his pace now as things have settled a bit. Whincup's got some margin back again now. He's taken it back out to half a second over Mark Winterbottom, and he was all over the back of him just a couple of moments ago. And he's split to both the first and second timing intermediate look good as well. Now, it's only a car length, as you can see, but it's just eased the gap ever so slightly. And it's his pace that's doing it. So he's been very quick on this lap.
So 52.26 for Whincup, 52.31 from Winterbottom. The only other guy that's doing that level of lap time is Craig Lowndes with a 52.43. So essentially, Whincup now fastest first sector again in this lap. So he's really turning it on in this mid-stage of the race.
And he only just got back from Brazil, from a run in the Brazilian Stock Car Championship last weekend at Interlagos in Sao Paulo, where he finished fourth, but a penalty for another competitor meant that he ultimately got to third, drove a Peugeot 408 with Sergio Jimenez. So he stumbled back into Melbourne late on Wednesday night, then had a Tuesday night, then had a function in Hobart Wednesday night. His eyes were spinning and settled back into the groove here, and he's only half a second away.
You're riding with James Courtney, who's in position 16. Remember, he got turned around at turn 4, so he's fighting his way back through as well. Lowndes has got another spot, by the way, guys. He's up to 8th. He's picked off Scott Pye.
52.1 that lap for Whincup. So the last 2 laps for Jamie have been telling because he's had terrific speed and he's been able to stabilise and even increase the margin to Winterbottom.
And nothing in it, Neil. 52.10, 52.15, Whincup versus Winterbottom.
It's a great battle at the front. The two rivals are going to duke it out in this second Saturday afternoon race, but we know that Craig Lowndes is on the charge. Those battles galore going on here at this short 2.4-kilometre circuit. Blink and you miss it. But nobody can miss the charge of Craig Lowndes at the moment. He is now up to 7th. He's done the job on Jack Perkins. He's just laid down the fastest lap of the race at 52.0. That was Nick Percat. So this will just give you an indication of what's been happening in Craig's world over the last 10 or so laps. He goes past Lee Holdsworth. We just saw him get the free kick when Nick Percat, and then he comes alongside Rick Kelly, says thank you very much. Next in the queue would be Scott Pye. Well, Scotty didn't see it coming, and then Jack Perkins. So from 25th up to 7th. Back in 2008, Todd Kelly won after starting 10th. We thought that was pretty good. On lap 22 of 42, there's enough time and enough pace, and there could be big trouble.
That's a wild bit of road down there. The minimum speed in the corner is 165 kilometres an hour, but they quickly exceed that. They slide all the way up to the edge of the road. When you're on the signalling wall down there as a crew member, you just cringe. It's a tonne and a half coming at you completely sideways.
You're going to cringe in a minute because Shane Van Gisbergen is going to do this move where he just fires down the inside. We saw him in the previous race. Those blokes don't need any more vigour. I bet you Lowndes on this drive through, he's going, these boys play for keeps down here.
Craig is now 10 seconds away from the lead. Here we go again. We're riding with David Reynolds. This is the run to turn 6.
He'll tuck it right in there. And Van Gisbergen was up the inside of Reynolds. There was no road there. He did a great job not to make contact.
So the Giz started 24th. He's made up 10 spots.
This has got an air of tick, 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 boom about it, hasn't it?
Lowndes has got another spot. He's up to 6th. He's got Pascal Tander now.
Sometimes what Craig tends to do when he's had one of these bad days, and he's been having a fairly bad day at the office, one might think, that he explodes and there's all the oversteer and the locking and the yeah on the radio. But this has been a really disciplined drive by him so far. He's got a quick car. He's had the fastest lap of the race at one stage. In fact, he's still got it at 52.08. And he's just chipping away with a very determined drive here to recover from a rotten situation, from having to go all the way to the back of the field because of that infringement with the window, having dealt with the bruise mentally of getting in. Oh, Davey, seriously. You're interrupting our train of thought. You're scaring us. Women and children first. Unbelievable how they get away with that move, dropping the right rear on the grass there. And a few of the boys have been getting away with it over and over all weekend. This battle here is the focus. It's Jason Bright, Team BOC, with a freshly minted car off the back of the disaster at Adelaide, where they had to turn around very quickly and get it built. And Lowndes is on him, 5th and 6th. And has he got him? Oh, shades of what happened in the previous one between the teammates. And Jason hangs on by a whisker through that final turn, just the tiniest margin. We can't leave this. It's an extraordinary exchange between Bright and Lowndes, two of the most experienced.
Thought about it. Bright was on top of that one, but it was risky from both. Bright had to hang it out wide on the approach to turn 7.
Got to set him up now. He's got to come off here well with nice drive. He's done a good job. He's actually closer this lap. Bright made a little mistake right at the end of the curve on the outside. A little bit too much wheel spin, a little bit of dirt. And this is now the run for Lowndes. 265 kilometres an hour, and can he get down there?
He's going to have another go.
No, he's in there. He's done it. Good move. Very, very good move.
Brilliant. We were desperate to pay some bills there, but we decided just hang on for a sec. But we will pay some bills now. So it was worth the extra 60 seconds, wasn't it? That was a great exchange between those two. They gave each other racing room. How's that? Lowndes is on the march now to position number 5. Thank you very much. Stay with us. There'll be more.
Welcome back. We're live at Simmons Plains, commercial free to the end of this race. What do you think? Can Lowndesy do it from here? He's in 5th. He's 12.8 seconds behind the leader. There's 13 laps to go. He's driving like a man possessed. And in so many ways he is. Possessed with absolute brilliance, pure entertainment, and A-class skills. Go to v8supercars.com.au/vote or use our 7 Sport app. So he's got Scott McLaughlin, Fabian Coulthard, Mark Winterbottom and Jamie Whincup ahead of him. Rick Kelly is in position 10.
And these days, Matt, they can work out fantastically for you after the unfortunate stuff that's gone on, or they can work out terribly. And your point before, Crompo, if you go a bit mad and you get caught up in all that drama at the start of the race, he was very good in terms of his approach. He didn't get caught in that stuff. He stayed back from it. He then has gone and plucked them off. He's been a little bit lucky on a couple of occasions when he got a couple of spots for free. But the reality is 20 positions at this level is an extraordinary drive. That is a very, very good performance.
Heart rate numbers for Rick Kelly are pretty extraordinary here too, coming off turn 4 in the Jack Daniels Nissan. Rick's in 10th at the moment. Remember, he came into this round of the championship 4th. Had the problem with the brake master cylinder in that previous event that speared him into the gravel right here. So he shot straight off the road into the gravel. So this is a nice little run to recovery for him. Jack Perkins on screen. That's Garth Tander in the foreground, and behind in car number 16 is Scotty Pye. Larko?
Yeah, just want to have a chat with Jeremy Moore. You can see he's talking to Craig right now. Yeah, sorry, mate. Good observation. Hey, Jerry, Craig Lowndes is race engineer. As such, you're his driver coach, you're his manager of his race. When he's fired up like he is now, what little strategies do you use? How do you control that situation to yield the best result?
I think when he's in this mood, he's his own tool. He does it all himself. Just got to make sure he doesn't overstep the mark. But quite often when he's in this mood, he doesn't. He just keeps things on the razor's edge. When he's got a carrot like McLaughlin in sight, I think he's just got to focus on and he's down there.
Beautifully put. We often said, Crompo just said, and he's right, we see Craig in these ones where he sometimes overdrives the car, gets a bit sideways, overdoes it, but that does look very nice, very disciplined out there at the minute.
Yeah, absolutely. He's got a target to drive through. He knows there's 10 laps to go. He's got the pace on. He's got to keep chipping away, and might have ended up with podium from dead last. And
just quickly, I don't want you to disclose too much, but I see you having a quick chat to him every lap. What, for people at home, what are you saying to him as he goes by?
It's basically telling him the gap to the car in front and telling him make sure that he's at the current speed, he'll catch the cars, because there's no point burning the tyres up, you're not going to catch them. So basically give him the gap to the car in front and his lap times.
Nice work, Jerry. Keep it up.
And he's pulling around about half a second a lap on average at the moment. Ooh, he's on here at the hairpin still. That's Mostert up the inside of Rick Kelly, who we were riding with a moment ago. So Lowndes is 13 seconds off the lead of the race. You'd have to drink a lot of Happy Aid to think that he could win it. But he is making good speed nonetheless. You know, he's half a second a lap quicker than Scott McLaughlin.
Where did that brand just come from? You're a lunatic. Where did that brand just come from?
Just invented it.
So further to your point now, while he's 13 seconds away from the lead, which means that Jamie Whincup's doing a faster and faster lap out in front, the gap between him, Lowndes that is, and McLaughlin is shrinking. It's now 2.5 seconds. And importantly, what Jeremy Moore said there, he can now get visual as Chaz Mostert gets dirty. So he can now get visual on the back of car 33, Lowndes, and that's going to help every bit because he's so good when he's in a fight. When he's out there on his own, he's got air gaps all around him. It turns into qualifying laps. He loves the scrap.
He's making good ground, so on the current numbers, he will get to the back of Scott McLaughlin. But look at this. This is Chaz Mostert. We've taken a breath here and there watching this battle in the last couple of laps. And, oh, he's got him. Mostert's given him a whack, I suggest. I might be incorrectly vilifying, or he might have just locked up and fired off on his own. Rick, we'll wait and have a look. But that'll be a safety car. Well, now that 13 seconds disappears. Now get your happy aid out.
So now it's on. That's heartbreak for Rick Kelly. Finds himself in the gravel for the second time in as many races at turn 6.
Did you touch him? Here we go.
He might have done it on his own.
No.
Or not.
So that's unfortunate because Rick Kelly come into this round as the best. I mean, the best for a long time for him. He was 4th in the championship coming in here, and he's been unloaded. Just listen.
It's a bit strange because there was a bit of a gap there at one point. It all looked like it was going to work out swimmingly, and then it was a big whack. It lifted the back of the Nissan right up. So it'll take a moment or two to get this car clear. Now the field compresses.
Now the drama starts. Because
well, there's only a handful of laps to go, and by the time they get car 15 out, it's going to be a mad dash to the finish. Whincup was sailing along nicely, had good speed over Winterbottom. He had everybody covered. Fabian Coulthard in at 3rd. Scott McLaughlin knew that Lowndes was coming, but now he'll have him right in his rear-view mirror.
And look, a lot of times, Matt, we really, we've given Chaz Mostert some real accolades for some great drives, especially his first win last year. And he shows great pace. But that was a very immature move, that one. At that stage of the race, you've got to make sure that if you're going to fire down the inside, that you can actually make that manoeuvre stick. It never looked like stopping and hit the back of the Nissan Altima hard enough for the rear wheels to come off the ground.
So one of the Volvos is coming in. Robert Dahlgren is down in position 19.
We'll just try and grab a word here with Timmy. Before we do, if you can just point the camera over there, Dave. There's Eddie, Big Eddie. That's Chaz's dad over here. He just looked at me. He's probably a little bit disappointed as well. Hey, Tim, we do talk a lot about how fast Chaz is. He's a great talent of the future. Over the course of today, I thought he probably didn't position his car well in the first race a couple of times, and we've seen a little bit of an error there. It's a bit of a management issue now, isn't it? He just needs that little bit of something to make him capitalise on his raw speed.
Yeah, we've just got to coach him. That's our job. We've got to teach him. He is new to the category. You can't expect somebody to have 10 years of experience. Yeah, I mean, he was obviously getting a little bit frustrated. He was a lot faster than Rick, and Rick was blocking him every lap down into turn 6. And he just, I think his impatience got the better of him, I'd say.
Yeah, well, he's still very young, mate, so it's ahead. So keep your head down and keep at him. He's got a big future.
Yeah, I mean, the great thing is that he's fast. We can teach him the other part of the job.
Yeah, you're dead right. The other bit is a bit hard, isn't it? All right, thanks, pal.
It's always easier to play Wonetti than giddy up in this business. But there's car number 34, Robert Dahlgren in. So had a little bit of tyre damage there. So and he will get a penalty for that, by the way. Chaz Mostert. It's pretty clear cut.
Don't forget the highlights tonight at midnight, right around the nation on 7 to 7, mate, of both of the races today. So a couple of things here. Take a look. Car 17 is out of sync, but in the line, David Wall. So too is Russell Ingall, just at the top of your screen. He's not hard to miss. Damage to car 23. But remember, when they get to the acceleration zone, they're not allowed to overtake before the control line.
Which was discussed at length in the driver's briefing, and there's certainly been a couple of instances today where that's run amok. It's hard to manage, though, when you're in the saddle.
So normally those guys would step aside and let the other guys go racing, but
that's right.
You can't do it now. So that's pretty critical in the fact that we'll only end up having about 4 or 5 laps to the end. And as Larko pointed out earlier on in the day, every inch of this 2.4 kilometre circuit counts.
So they're all guiding now. They're talking to Mark Winterbottom as we speak, and they're saying don't pass him before the control line. So we've got to limit the risk here.
So Jamie picks that speed between 60 and 80 when he takes control of the field. He then flattens off that number. There's all of the various engineers. That's Dave Patterson there. He'll be talking to Jack Perkins, his engineer. They've got to stay within 1 car length. That's a requirement in the rules, so they tighten up the bunch. Fabian's right under the back of Russell. Into the zone.
Go straight. He'll go straight away. Off he goes. So they've got to wait. They've got to wait till they get the control line. Now they can start to fan out and look for positions. So those cars that are out of sync help Jamie Whincup and help Mark Winterbottom. They don't help Coulthard, McLaughlin, Lowndes and Bright.
Russell does the right thing and just sidesteps car 6 drive through for that incident that we saw before. So Mostert will come through the lane, no surprise. Oh, down the inside, that's messy for Van Gisbergen. He climbed over, was it Reynolds or Courtney? Whatever it was, he was all 4 in the air at that stage.
And at that restart, Jason Bright has got Craig Lowndes. So Lowndes has dropped the spot. Back to 6th. So Whincup, 1.2 seconds. Then Winterbottom, then Coulthard. Oh, that was close.
Craig just got him back.
Got him back. So that was close between David Wall and Scott McLaughlin, but he gets through.
How's the margin that Jamie's enjoyed after the first racing lap? The restart, 1.3 seconds the margin when they crossed the control line there. That was messy back on the previous laps of the hairpin scaping. Yeah. Cars crunching hard into each other. Oh.
So Russell Ingall did the right thing. He stepped aside. David Wall's got to do the same. This is the penalty. Chaz Mostert, driving infringement. And this was the stuff that Neil's referring to. Look at that. That's Van Gisbergen right up in the air into the side of Dave Reynolds. Get some vision here. Bang. They were all concertina straight into the side of Jack Perkins. He's got no road on the outside. That was on board, I think, with Courtney. We'll just have a look.
Yeah. So Courtney got into the back there of Van Gisbergen.
Have a look at this. This is a great performance of Whincup since the restart. Very, very good laps.
1.5 seconds.
There'll be a post-race investigation for Jason Bright and Tim Slade as a result of that restart.
Now, don't discount Fabian Coulthard having a run at Mark Winterbottom, because we saw this last year. Young Scott McLaughlin's done a good job at the restart. We thought that Lowndes would get straight to him. In fact, he lost a spot to Bright. He had to fight his way back by Jason. And now Lowndes is looming large in the mirror of young Scott McLaughlin, who's done an extraordinary job this year in the first year back for Volvo.
Say, by the way, that Lowndes went past Bright back at turn 6 on that previous lap. He's actually yielded the spot to him, because I'll bet that they got on the radio and went, mate, you're going to have to redress that. Because I think what's happened there is Bright somehow snipped Lowndes before the control line on the restart.
Right.
Look at the margin. He's bolted Jamie Whincup. It's 1.6 seconds. And it's a handy margin, Winterbottom to Coulthard. But this next little battle, that's unresolved.
So that concrete fringe has got a higher grip level than what the tar has got. So the guys use every little bit on the exit of there. This is Lowndes now.
So remember the fight that Scott McLaughlin had with Jamie Whincup at Adelaide. Now he's got Craig Lowndes on him. They're going to come side by side at the exit of 6. Do they rub it? 7, yes they do. That is high speed sliding around the corner. And the Volvo sticks it out.
Great driving.
Holds his ground, the young Kiwi.
Great driving by both those guys. And the cars are totally grip limited on the slide. In the lowest speed is 165k. They're doing about 180 or 190k, right out sideways, right alongside each other. Great driving.
Oh, Craig.
Ooh.
He nearly outbraked himself then and drilled straight into the back of McLaughlin. That was spectacular at 6, wasn't it? Both cars sliding through the turn, and great maturity for McLaughlin to just keep his focus there and not make a mistake. Here's the race leader with 1 to go.
Yeah, Scott McLaughlin drawing on all that experience that he had in between events, driving on the ice in Sweden, well done, but Jamie Whincup does it again.
Good job, good pace, well done.
2 out of 2. Winterbottom is second, Fabian third.
But you were rocking out there.
Scotty McLaughlin fourth, and what a drive from Craig Lowndes. Unbelievable talent, incredible skill from 25th to 5th. Amazing. Red Bull Racing Australia, so 2 pole positions and 2 wins to start the weekend for Jamie Whincup.
And a very good drive by young Scott there, Matt. I mean, that last lap with the pressure of a Lowndes coming at you and being able to get away with it, the highest speed corner, 2 abreast, totally grip limited, and not run into each other and not effectively have an accident with only a lap to go was a very mature drive. We've seen some really good performances so far from him. Fabian Coulthard also a very good performance. Mark Winterbottom had the pace of Whincup in the early stages, right through to the middle of the race. Whincup then put on about a 10-lap spurt, which were like qualifying laps. And just before the safety car, he effectively had a 1-second lead. He ended up winning this with a very smart restart and a very good batch of laps right at the end, and that was a superb performance from Jamie Whincup to rebound from the drama of the previous race.
You go back to that battle that he had with Frosty, where he just stepped it up a notch. Yep. Started posting fastest first sector times, just enough to say, I know you're coming with me, but I'm just going to kick ahead here. Yep. And that's what he does. He's remarkable like that. 78 career wins now, and that's 10 victories at Symmons Plains for Jamie Whincup. He's a master of his trade.
That was a wild race. There was a lot of wild stuff that had just gone on there.
No kidding, Sherlock. And we knew it was going to end like that too.
I know. A totally different tempo than the previous race.
So that's 3 race wins for 2014 for the combination of Couchy and Whincup. Red Bull Racing Australia have that knack too of, they got themselves into trouble, they got a slap on the wrist from the boss, and they quickly put it behind them. Good drive from Mark Winterbottom. He's so consistent here. He's got good car speed, and Fabian Coulthard again on the podium at Tasmania.
Jamie Whincup, it has been a roller coaster day for you, but 10 wins at this racetrack now, 2 wins from today. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. The car was excellent all day. We qualified well and got a much better start in that last race. And Frosty pushed us hard. He's obviously got a very good car. It's a classic good old battle. You know, we've been doing it since 2008, so really enjoyed that. But and I saw Lowndesy come flying through as well, where he put in a super effort. So yeah, it's been a good day.
Enjoy the champagne on the podium. And Mark Winterbottom, you've continued your amazing streak at this circuit. 20 out of the last 22 races in the top 5. Congratulations, second on the podium.
Yeah, I'm wrapped with that. I may have to give Jamie an invoice. He might send me an invoice for a tow docket, because I just towed him that whole race. But those boys are quick. But you just got to keep pushing and try and consolidate results when you can. And I'm pretty proud. We had a few issues before we went out that race, and all 4 teams or 4 cars come and help me get out of into that race. So it's a podium for everyone, and we're fighting. We're close.
And the boys are here to cheer you on the podium. Congratulations. Fabian Coulthard, something about you and this track here at Symmons Plains. Your first ever podium, your first ever race win, and you're on the podium again today. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, look, it was pretty good. You know, we suffered a little bit in that first race today, and, you know, you only got short turnaround to try and transform the car and make it into something good. But, you know, my guys at Lockwood Racing did that, and, you know, I'm able to stand up here, so it's a credit to them as well. Maybe it's the beard. Get up there and enjoy. No worries. Cheers.
He's not feeling too flash. He's got a bout of the flu, Fabian Coulthard, but that'll put a smile on his face. So that's your podium. Whincup, Winterbottom and Coulthard. McLaughlin in the Volvo in 4th. Craig Lowndes from 25th up to 5th. Great job from Scott Pye and Jack Perkins in the Geraldwin Ford, and Lee Holdsworth, the Erebus, rounds out the top 10. All-star performance too from Shane van Gisbergen. He started 24th, so he made up 12 spots. Nick Percat and Rick Kelly.
It's time for the podium for race 5 of the championship at the Tyrepower Tasmania 400. Our winner of race 5 from Red Bull Racing Australia, Jamie Whincup. In second place for Ford Pepsi Max crew, Mark Winterbottom. In third place for Lockwood Racing, Fabian Coulthard. And representing the winning team for Red Bull Racing Australia, David Cauchi. And presenting the winning trophies for race 5 for third place, Rob Smith, General Marketing Manager for naming rights sponsor Tyrepower. To present the second place trophy, John Fitzgerald, Chief Executive Officer of Tourism Tasmania. Presenting the trophy to the winning team, Peter Murphy, National Director for our naming rights sponsor Tyrepower. And the first place trophy to our winner of race 5, the Premier-elect Will Hodgman, MP. Ladies and gentlemen, that's your podium in race 5 of the championship at the Tyrepower Tasmania 400.
So 3 race wins so far this season. It moves Whincup up to 3rd. He came into this weekend in 7th. Lowndes' lead has been chipped away by Fabian Coulthard and Mark Winterbottom in 4th position. So we do it all again tomorrow. A 200-kilometre race.
So starting grid, let's have a look at them for race number 6 of our championship. Again, it's all Red Bull up the top with Whincup and Lowndes set to resume their battle. Scotty McLaughlin, is the power steering problem cured? Position 3. Will Davis, an excellent performance for Erebus Motorsport. James Courtney from 5, alongside Shane van Gisbergen, who'll be looking for a settled race today. Tim Slade, 7th, got pinged for an infringement yesterday. David Wall, terrific performance for Wilson Security Racing. And then Nick Percat, nice job. He had a hard day at the office yesterday with Lee Holdsworth. Fabian Coulthard's got a cold this weekend, but he's very strong at this racetrack. Will be out of position number 11.
There's Mark Winterbottom from 13th. Scott Pye next to him. I watched Frosty go and find his car. It looked like a little boy lost. He had to go right all the way back down the back of the grid. He hasn't been down there forever. Chaz Mostert and Rick Kelly, 17 and 18. There's the enforcer. It started so well for him the weekend in qualifying, but again, he finds himself down the back of the pack. The 2 Nissans, 21 and 22, go to Todd Kelly, former race winner here. The Swede, Robert Dahlgren. Garth Tander, a power steering issue for him in qualifying, so he couldn't get going. And Jack Perkins will start from position 25 after that contact with Mark Winterbottom in the qualifying session.
A lot of engineers talking to drivers at the moment about making sure that brake temps are just right. Because braking is so important around here and they need to balance those temperatures front to rear, because they're going to have to stand on it very hard on this opening lap for the fight for position. There's huge emphasis on it. In fact, AP Racing are the control supplier to the category, and they've brought down Ian Nash from the UK this weekend. This is the second toughest location on the tour for brakes. They really smoulder around this track.
Really good pickup, Neil. I'm standing next to Ian Nash, and you're dead right. And what you're going to not do is tuck yourself in behind a car for too long. But the bigger headache, I can tell you, is with the engineers up and down the pit lane. How do you not end up double stacking? How are you going to do this strategy option? This is going to be a tough mind game as well as a racing game. Really looking forward to this one.
It's already been a controversial but successful weekend for Red Bull Racing Australia, and they find themselves again side by side. It's been made crystal clear, race as hard as you want, but do not touch each other. So they'll be nervous at the front. What about Tander from right down the back? Can he do what Lowndes did yesterday and pick his way through the field? What about the Volvos or the Mercs starting on the second row of the grid?
Green flag, green flag.
Here, you blink and you miss it. Race 6 at the championship. Nervous Wade, really nervous Wade, and Lowndes got off to a flyer and gets the jump on his teammate. Through turn 1. Good start 2 from Will Davison.
Right at the very back of the pack. Dahlgren sat there forever. He's miles behind.
That was a great jump by Craig Lowndes in the dirt on the run down to 4.
Down to 50 k's an hour. They snake around without incident. What a Terrific jump from Lowndes.
And pit this lap was the call then for Jamie Whincup. Pit this lap, look for car number 1 to come in this lap. So an immediate strategy play. Battle for third, though, on the outside, McLaughlin. Will Davison on the inside. James Courtney tucked in behind. Does Whincup peel in? I think he has. He is. Whincup's in. Lowndes has got clear margin. And how about Will Davison, P2? Well done.
And look at McLaughlin. He's looking inside and out. So Scotty Pye follows Whincup in. So too does Rick Kelly and Robert Dahlgren.
Will be a little bit slippery. Got a nice run in here. Let's use it.
This separates the cars. It means they don't have to stack later in the race.
Yes, and don't underscore the importance of Craig Lowndes winning that start, because by doing that, he's the guy not compromised. He's out in front. The first thing you've got to do in this double stacking game is be the guy in front in your team. Well done, Craig.
And it may well have been based on their position. That decision may have been taken based on the position of both the drivers relative to each other on the first lap.
Exactly. And look at that. He's put more fuel in. So he started with less fuel on board. He's put more fuel in, and he's now behind the Nissan and the Falcon on the way out.
Going to have to ask those rear tyres to do a lot of work, though. That's one of the risks, because the temp is up.
Jack just got the tyre bundle there, so...
He's a lap down.
He's a lap down, yeah, as McLaughlin on the inside here at turn 4 on Will Davison. And I reckon this will open up a few others as well, because Will was a bit of a cork in the bottle.
Look at
and
this.
James Courtney takes advantage of that as well.
Huge pressure right at the start of the race, and look at these guys at it in this long right-hand curve, and McLaughlin checks out in a straight line. Side by side, Davison and Courtney. James has got the inside run. Watch Van Gisbergen as well. He's looking to stick the nose of the VIP Holden in there as well.
So James was really struggling to stop it down at turn 6. Out the back of the Erebus Motorsport AMG E63, looking at Shane Van Gisbergen, who's always up for a scrap. Tim Slade's behind him.
That's good margin that McLaughlin made in half a lap in this battle with Courtney and Davison. Watch Van Gisbergen very close to the back. That fills that shot. 52.3 fastest lap for Lowndes, but McLaughlin's done the fastest sector split. Have a go here at Frosty. Mark Winterbottom on the outside, but it rapidly turns to the inside line at turn 6.
Oh, who's that?
Davey.
That's Dave.
So Reynolds is in here. He'll actually sneak underneath Caruso. Bit of hip and shoulder required, but eventually gets the job done at the final turn. It's much warmer out there than it was yesterday, and the wind's actually gone north. It's light, but we've seen 3 different days from 3 different directions with the wind.
McLaughlin's speed is as good as Lowndes in the last lap, 52.33, 52.36, so nothing in it. McLaughlin has now taken a 10.5 out of Lowndes on the first sector. Look at this jump. That jump from Lowndes is as good as you would ever see. Whincup's start wasn't too bad, because look at him relative to the field. It was a great start by Craig Lowndes. Watch this, just gone. Great drive. So the primary part of the start is the jump. The secondary part of the start is effectively the wheel spin. He limited the wheel spin and got away fantastically.
I think it's fair to say he's fully amped at the moment.
Yeah.
He's on a hair trigger. That drive yesterday afternoon was like that. Garth Tander here, back in the pack. He's battling with Todd Kelly. They're 16th and 17th. That's Russell Ingall in there as well. A ripper race for him in the first one yesterday, but he got his ears boxed in the second, including a pit lane drive-through penalty when he made a mistake on the restart. And McLaughlin's very quick again in sector 1. Faster split to timing intermediate number 1 up into this hairpin. Tander's looking for the under-over coming through turn 4. Nick Percat's up on the outside of Jack Perkins here as well. Percat's really been boxed out of position based on his qualifying.
So Whincup definitely started, just done the numbers there. He put 55 litres in just then, so he started with 60. So that's the difference in a track position based on the stops that we witnessed versus Scott Pye and Rick Kelly.
Yeah, there must be more to this for Nick Percat. I mean, he started, like you say, Cosmo, inside the top 10. Started position 9. Effectively, he is last.
Yeah, just to answer your question, Matty, Nick Percat went off the road just at turn 6 on the 2 laps before. That's why he's lost all that track position. Also, just chatting with Gary Rogers about Robert Dahlgren at the start. He can't quite get used to these starts in these cars, and he just bogged it down. When you think about it, he's only had really 3 opportunities at Clipsal in the couple yesterday. So it's a lot to ask for. Brand new to the track, brand new to the game, brand new to getting these cars off the line.
When we saw the replay there, Rihanna, he was absolutely stationary when the whole field took off, and I reckon he gave them a 10-second head start, and they had to hold up the sweep vehicles behind him. But he's underway now, which is good. There he is on screen. So that explains Percat, because that had me mystified. In fact, I went back to double-check whether he was one of the stoppers. Yeah, but there's 5 that have stopped. But meantime, Craig Lowndes, 3.2-second margin. Those that did stop included Rick Kelly, Scott Pye, Jamie Whincup, James Moffat, and Robert Dahlgren.
So Lowndes leads the way. He's got the young Kiwi fighting him again, and James Courtney's in the mix as well. Be back after this. Welcome back. Our mega wall, the Holden Racing team in the middle. The man in the middle of that now, Adrian Burgess. Their best charge at the moment is James Courtney, 3rd. But Craig Lowndes is just on a mission. Yesterday, he was an angry man who had to work his way through the pack. Today, he's at the front of the field, and he's going ballistic on the timesheets. He's 4 seconds clear of Scott McLaughlin after putting down fastest lap after fastest lap after fastest lap, riding with Rick Kelly.
This is an interesting thing to look at and focus on for a moment, Matt. We're riding with Rick up into turn 4. That's Jamie Whincup in front. Remember, these guys have stopped. There's 5 of them, including 6 now. Michael Caruso's come in as well. We're early days, and there'll be another stop.
Tyres are all done. We're just waiting on fuel. Fast lane is clear.
But the guys that we were just looking at, Whincup and Kelly, are 47-odd seconds off Craig Lowndes leading the race. When you take into account that Craig will probably, together with Red Bull Racing, split this race into thirds, using their fuel and their tyres equally, minimising the stationary time, to come in and grab the next dump of fuel, which will be about 60 litres. It'll take about 45.5 seconds, plus getting a little bit back up to speed as you exit the pit lane. Roughly 47 seconds. So what I'm saying is, at the moment, Lowndes, position 1, is racing Jamie Whincup, position 20, in an arm wrestle that's separated by fractions of a second. But Jamie has got the added disadvantage at the moment of doing it in traffic. Hot air going into the brakes and having to use more of the car and more of the rear tyre to get that job done.
And your point is 100% right, because he come out behind Pye and Kelly. So he had to use the car to get by those guys. His trademark is clear track and great lap times. That was hurt in the first 3 to 4 laps of going back out.
So right now, Jamie's 47.8 seconds behind Lowndes, and Lowndes has got a 4.4-second lead. So Craig's got this nice kind of open-air stroll going at the moment. It's not as simple as that, but in relative terms, Jamie's a bit buried, but the battle is really interesting within the team, as it will be all year, I'm sure. And there is Whincup.
There they are. That's the gap.
And there's Lowndes. Yeah.
So that's the 47 seconds you make reference to. There's the effective leader.
Yep. And they're lapping in 52 seconds. So it's only a 7-second cushion. So they did the right thing with car 1. They made sure they didn't get lapped. But you can just see, folks, how knife edge it is. If you have any slip up in the pit lane here, boom, you grab, you're a lap down. Then you've got to hope for all kinds of other things to unfold as the day wears on. But this will be a fascinating one to watch, and I'll keep you updated with that gap.
It's funny, isn't it, how the roles have been reversed. Like you said, Scafey, the Jamie Whincup trademark is put down lap after lap, qualifying lap. He just gets into that zone. Now that's the job of Craig Lowndes, who's out at the front of the field with clear air. He's got to knock the times out of the park every time.
Exactly. So he just did a 52.27 on the previous lap. Whincup did a 52.28, 1/100th of a second apart.
So into the pit now is Lee Holsworth of Erebus Motorsport. Him and Michael Caruso have been the first couple of cars to do 4 tyres and not only fuel. So these guys now are putting tyres on the car. The guys that stopped on those first 1 or 2 laps only did fuel.
And we could see on our United Petroleum fuel flow register, they've tipped about 40 litres into that car. We've got about 50 into Jamie's. So Robert Dahlgren, Jason Bright, whose weekend has pretty much gone a bit pear-shaped. Behind them, Chaz Mostert, Russell Ingall, there's Todd Kelly and Garth Tander. So Garth's up to 15th. After starting from 24th. Remember, we've made 6 drivers who've stopped.
Lowndes is going to come in. Lap 15 was the start of that window we saw from Larko's race backs. That's the general thinking of when they were first going to come in. That doesn't split it into thirds. It brings it a bit early.
Yeah, that's actually not going to be like the strategy that I called there a moment ago. So, I was going to say, it could be to do with traffic and Lowndes in. It's going to be a very fluid play by lots of different teams as they juggle the 120 litres of United fuel into these cars. So Lowndes in, leaves McLaughlin in the lead by about 2 seconds over Courtney. Gizzy's come in as well. There he is in the background.
You cover I was just about to say, you cover the leader now. So with someone like Lowndes, you've got to work out who you're racing. And I would have, if I was Scott McLaughlin, done the same thing. 4 tyres.
So watch for where Lowndes drops.
Clear, mate. Still clear. Still clear. Still clear. Go, 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 go.
Okay, so
that's the licorice stripes.
Cup's coming around turn 7 now.
Oh, Craig's gone off the road. Lowndes went off the road, pushing hard on cold tyres. He wants to hold that margin over Whincup. There's Jamie. That's the gap. Different levels of fuel went in. We'll have to reverse engineer that for you, get a feeling for where this fuel load takes them car to car.
I thought it was roughly 12 seconds.
David Wall's come in too in the Wilson security entry. There's his teammate Scotty Pye. Van Gisbergen and Rick Kelly are going hard at it as well.
So the Volvo S60 of Scott McLaughlin leads the race now. Courtney's second. But remember, of those who have pitted so far, Lowndes is the best. David Wall, the Wilson security entry out of DJR, rejoins into a clear spot. James Courtney into pit lane.
So from our calculations, it looks like Lowndes put in a couple of seconds less fuel than Whincup, which is for track position. Yeah. But that still gives him the lead. The only time that these two guys will get caught now, if it's a safety car, they'll have to bring both cars in. So you still get affected by stacking if that happens.
Go, go, go. All clear, all clear.
So Courtney's done the same thing, roughly 12 seconds. We'll work that number out for you properly. There you go. There's the leader. There's Craig, Jamie. James just coming out of the pits. It's an interesting rejoin, this one. He's going to be right there with Van Gisbergen. There's Van Gisbergen.
Those couple of seconds of fuel saving in the fuel dump in that stop scape, you were pretty instantly compromised by Craig understeering off the road. He probably dropped a second to a second and a half at least there.
Yeah.
So now comes that time when the guys at the top of the list, McLaughlin, Davison and Coulthard, who haven't stopped, especially McLaughlin and Davison, how far do they go before they come in?
Wait for the fuel now.
Because they'll start to give time away to the effective race leaders.
Yeah, so McLaughlin is leading Craig Lowndes by 38.3 seconds. So if he comes in and does what we would call the standard stop now, he's going to go backwards by about 10 seconds roughly.
And McLaughlin comes in. Oh, that's a difficult rejoin, but well done.
Cold tyres.
Tim Slade. Oh. He's got his hands full straight away.
That's what a cold tyre looks and feels like. Meantime, race leader Scott McLaughlin in, Volvo Polestar Racing. The crew go to work.
Coming in pit lane now, FPR. Should be right, I reckon. Just waiting on fuel.
40 litres.
Car drops, go.
50 litres of fuel.
Right.
So
Watch your speed.
he was stationary for about the same time that Jamie Whincup was early. But remember, he's chewed up time out on the track.
And the United E85 goes in at a rate of about 3.7 seconds a litre. There goes Lowndes. There you can see left of screen is Scotty. Here comes Whincup. This one will be tight. One's on cold tyres, one's at full tilt. And they're side by side, and McLaughlin hangs on. But he's going to be a busy boy when he gets through this next right-hander and up to the hairpin. He won't be able to stop it quite as late, so he's going to have to block. Up the outside goes Whincup and easily rounds him up with wall brakes, but he overshoots. Can he hang on? It's a full motocross move, and Whincup runs out the other side and manages to hang on by a fingernail. It's not done yet. He has to get to the left, and he inches across and just manages to cover him. How is that for tight motor racing?
That was fantastic stuff.
That was groovy.
Scott McLaughlin will not be intimidated by anyone. It doesn't matter how many races you've won, how many championships you've got under your belt. He just came firing out and said, I'm going to take that spot.
Well,
and then Whincup, with terrific talent, gets it straight back, but had to work hard for it. See, this is a good battle between these two blokes.
Impressive on cold tyres, boys. That's not an easy thing to do. So to poke it up there at turn 4 and have Jamie go the high road and then continue to race him for that lap was very good. And he's sticking with him. He's under him again at 4. Hold your breath again there. Oh, they squeeze out the other side. Wow. And we know that the Volvo's good in a straight line. Its torque curve must be very good in this midsection of the back straight, because that battle he had with Courtney before, he was very quick. Here's Frosty.
Righto, boys. Get the wheels on.
Fabian Coulthard's leading.
Okay.
Winterbottom come in from 8th position.
Otherwise, keep going.
So Lowndes has just done the fastest lap of the race. He's in 8th on the road, but first on the list of those to have stopped.
20 seconds here. You're going to stop at 20. Go, 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 go.
So Winterbottom rejoins.
Coming past front straight now.
Ingle and Tander come into pit lane, back on board. The battle continues. They had a classic stoush at the Clipsal 500.
He's shaped for a dive then. He moved it out of the mirror. One of the tricks at the end of the straight there, Matt, is that the road's actually quite wide. It's the widest section of road. So you flick out of the mirror and they can't find you. So when you look in the mirror, you don't know where the other guy is. That's exactly what he did. He moved it out and he had a little look, just like he's having a little look now. He looks like he's got really good pace. Good tyre quality. Now he may, if Jamie blocks, because you don't really have to block there. The road gently moves to the left. If he has a, he's just got to stay up enough. I think he might do it this time. Oh, that is so close.
If he can get an overlap, he's there.
Yep.
There's a couple of millimetres, and then he'll get up to the outside of the Holden. Is there a little puff of blue on the gear shifts there, or was it bottoming out? Was that just the splitter, or was that on the tyre gear shift?
As you can see, he's got good pace. Look at this. Look at the oversteer that Whincup's got.
Yeah, tyre age is a part of this. So remember that Scotty's got fresh boots on this thing.
Lining him up again at turn 4. A wash some 200 kilometres off the speed. Launch onto the brakes. Bring it back down to 50 Ks. First gear, swing it around. Try and get the line right. Staring now into the sun. Whincup just pulled away a little bit there on that lap. So Jack Daniels and Erebus Motorsport side by side around through turn 5. It's Lee Holdsworth and Rick Kelly and Scotty Pye. He's got a bird's eye view of that one behind him.
Sorry, Matty. We've, Scapey and I have got the abacus flying here at the moment, just kind of working through all the different scenarios. It's really fascinating with this strategy play being executed by different teams and how this will work out. At the moment, though, kind of doesn't matter what the calculator says, because for Whincup it's about track position. He's trying to hold off Scott McLaughlin and he's got his hands full. He's being really pressured at the moment, and it's exciting the rear of the #1 Red Bull car, and that's not serving his case at all. The more he slides, the more it's going to be difficult to hold Scott.
So take a look at your Coates Hire leaderboard. Coulthard, Perkins and Dale Wood yet to stop. David Reynolds has just entered pit lane. So the effective race leader is Craig Lowndes, but this is a ripper battle at Simmons Plains. Simmons Plains always delivers spectacular racing, and this super sprint format is really mixing it up. Strategy's being played all over the shop. Fabian Coulthard has just completed his pit stop, so he's now battling for 10th, 9th position with Scotty Pye.
And it looks like they're splitting it in equal parts for Coulthard. When he came out of the pits, he was immediately engrossed in this Wilson Security sandwich. He's got one of them either side of him at the moment, and once those tyres warm up, he'll probably be in a position to clear Scott, but it's not going to be an easy task, this one at the moment. He's dropped into some pretty heavy traffic.
Neil, let me try and just simplify this, why it's going to be such a fascinating race. Here's the regulated fuel towers. All the teams have them. They're full of United E85 ethanol blend. Now, if we come around the back, there's only one thing that V8 Supercars are interested in. You start up here at 500 millimetres. There's the sight glass. And down to this seal here, which is 140 millimetres. And as long as you put that amount of fuel in, that's your 120 litres. Now, if we look at that 888, there's Craig Lowndes. That's about there. There's car 1. Jamie Whincups, and looking there, just sighting those, I'd say Jamie's got a little bit less fuel to put in, and he's just a little bit behind Craig. This is going to be a cracker.
He needs 18 seconds worth of fuel, Whincup. Lowndes needs 20 seconds worth of fuel. Jamie's got a bit more flexibility. The window to get Lowndes home kind of opens about lap 52, but for Jamie, it's lap 32, 33. So we're going to keep on watching that one. Thanks, Larko.
So the field's now being cleansed in the first round of pit stops. So Lowndes has an 8-second lead over Whincup. Lachlan is third.
There's a nice little ding in the passenger's door of Scotty Pye's car there too.
And Larko, the other one that's important is to have a look at Mark Winterbottom, because he put a lot of fuel in, more than anybody else. So he's down in 17th position, but from our calculations, we think he might only have to put 10 to 15 litres in. So have a look at FPR, because that sight glass will determine that for us and show whether Winterbottom later in the race will stop for less time and therefore jump up the board.
So it's important to just re-establish you can do whatever you want so long as you drop the fuel. You can put 119 litres if you had space. Well, you can't, in fact. That's a bad example. You could put 100 litres of fuel in, and then you could stick the other 12 in later if you wanted to, or you could split any way you like. That's what we like about the play with the strategy here. Remember, the total capacity is 112 litres of the United E85. And look at this, Scotty Pye and Fabian Coulthard at it again. There's a little impression in the passenger's door. And Fabian put that in there when he came out of the pit lane up at turn 4. Now he's got that position that he's been working on for 2 laps to be on the outside through the sweeper that gives him the ideal racing line and the approach into this next left-hander at 6.
Hey, Scafie, I've just dived around the FPR, back of the FPR pits here. Here's Mark Winterbottom's tower, and you're dead right, mate. If you have a look, there's that sight glass we're looking at. Jamie and Craig were up around here. Look way down here. There's Mark Winterbottom's fuel, so that's as much as he's got to put in. How much is that? About that much.
That's about 10 litres. Yeah. You clown.
Indonesian Grand Prix winner. Right. He would know.
So an ultra short stop for Mark Winterbottom compared to a longer one for the other guys. And that battle that we were just watching between Scott Pye and Fabian Coulthard, they both had really good weekends, and Scott Pye's been in top 10 finishes for the 2 races yesterday. Fabian, of course, landed on the podium in race 5. This one between Will Davison, who started on the second row of the grid, got a good start. He followed Lowndes off the start. He's now in 6th with the Super Cheap Auto Commodore behind him, Tim Slade.
These guys have been battling the whole race. Tander and Todd Kelly have been battling the whole time. Mostert right up in behind there too.
That's for position 20. Todd's in 20th, Garth 21st, and Chaz Mostert just tucked in behind together with Jason Bright, who's been on the radio a bit, so I don't think his car's too nice at the moment. Todd had some contact yesterday and broke front suspension component in that car, parked him up in the garage. And remember, his brother Rick got turfed off the road up at turn 6 once and also had a brake failure. Not so much a brake failure as a leaky master cylinder that turfed him up there as well. So he spent a couple of occasions just beached in that gravel, no fun at all.
Todd was one of the drivers who got pinged on the restart and the change to the rules. It was interesting to hear how many drivers got it wrong because they forgot about the change. They were in that race mode again. Tim Slade, by the way, who did get pinged 25 seconds, went up to the driving standards observer, Jason Bargwanner, and said, "Where do I sign? You got me."
Like, plead guilty.
Plead guilty, you're on.
I'm done.
I have no case.
Yeah, well, the early plea might, you hope you might be able to win a case there. But it's a lot to manage for the drivers in that scenario. It's never as simple as it seems from the outside. You're trying to look for a line on the track, you're trying to look for signs, you're trying to watch and manage your own car and speed, and you're also trying to compete. It's not a simple process.
Exactly. Just about to make the point about James Courtney's pace. He's moved right up onto the back of McLaughlin. We're on board now with James. We're going to stay here for a lap. Pay particular notice to the body language of the blue S60 Volvo right in front.
See, that's where the Volvo's bottoming out. There's a little puff of smoke on the rear left.
Beautiful driving. Every little bit of road. Watch how accurate they are here. Every bit of road. Whincup. McLaughlin on board there with Courtney.
Craig Lowndes, 10 seconds further up the road. Can they catch him? There's more strategy to play out in this one. Just under 50 laps remaining. We're back at the Tyrepower Tasmania 400, the first of the Super Sprint rounds of 2014. You're riding with Scott McLaughlin, Valvoline Racing out of Gary Rogers Motorsport on the Polestar S60, but this car behind him of James Courtney looks super quick.
This is a terrific battle. Whincup, McLaughlin, Courtney with Shane Van Gisbergen only a fraction behind. Meantime, some people are coming in now for their second stops. James Moffat, Todd Kelly have just come in. Rick Kelly's been in. And we're expecting to see Whincup any tick of the clock. There is Todd Kelly. Temps up, boys. Air at the moment. The report from Noel Kelly from Dunlop is that it's 25 degrees air in pit lane and in the mid to high 30s on the racetrack. Was that Whincup in the weeds there? Yeah. So that's the problem with the age, the stint that he's had to do with those tyres, Scapey. Those rears are hurting for him. So we've got the track bathed in sunlight. Yesterday we had a wind from the different direction and we had overcast conditions. So you'll find some guys are just not set for it. Cars just won't be nice.
Look at the difference in the lines off the hairpin there. Whincup, massively different line, much wider, using more road. The other guys are driving it off there very straight and looking after the tyres.
Hey, just for a moment, we're in a really dangerous little phase of the race for Craig Lowndes and Scotty McLaughlin, perhaps a couple of others. Remember, it's a better than 100% chance of a safety car here. In this little phase right now we're in, if there was a safety car, Craig would come in and would not be able to get the full fuel load in. So it's a dangerous little sequence for them.
Yeah, it's very true.
That's right. That's what I was getting at before. Larko, the window, we call it, opens for him to get in. In other words, there's sufficient space in the tank to get the United E85 in around about lap 50 to 52. Our figures are always going to be a bit rubbery, the team knows, and we have to use a bit of reverse engineering in guessing. But for Jamie, there's a bit more flexibility with the way things have gone. But he's got, look at how much he's looking in the rear view mirror. He just made an anti-roll bar adjustment as well. And he's doing everything to open the steering at the moment to not laterally or side load that car and hurt the tyre.
You've got to bring him in now. You've got to bring him in now. He needs now fresh rubber to be competitive here. He's going to get gobbled by these two guys. So,
yep. There you go. He can hear you. Telepathy.
That's a smart move.
So he was fueled. He could have got as far as lap 53. And we said he could take this opportunity he's taking now any time from about lap 32. So he's well in the zone, and I think he stretched the tyres as much as you dare. Larko?
Yeah, well, this is going to be critical. So in comes Jamie now. Watch when he pulls up. OK, in goes the fuel now. He's got a digital readout. Now, if I can grab the camera guy, Dave, come with me. Round behind the fuel cell here. Right, you can see this lad here under the helmet. He's watching. Look, there it is. He's got a little button in his finger. When that gets down to that Tiga sticker, he's going to hit the trigger. That'll display on the fuel man's display. Let me watch his finger.
Give me a nod if you're OK.
Bang done, fuel out, car gone.
Beautiful.
Lovely.
Yeah, well done, Larko. That was great. And a really nice process there from Red Bull Racing.
Is that Courtney in the background? I reckon it is. They're calling the gaps for him. It is Courtney. And Gizzy in behind. Here's McLaughlin now responding.
That's smart. You've got to cover the leader. You've got to work out who you're racing in these events like this. They're on the same strategy.
Tyres are done. When the car drops, you're right to go. There's a car entering pit lane now. He's coming past. You'll be right. Pit lane's clear now. Just waiting on fuel. Go. Watch your speed.
Nice getaway.
And in comes Winterbottom, remember, for that little splash, because he took so much fuel early. They had a gap that allowed him to dump a heap of fuel early in the race. Now he's only got to squirt a bit in. He's in the lane near the exit end of the lane.
So here comes Whincup. So this will drop McLaughlin back behind, or will it? Last time around, he stuck his nose out there ahead of Whincup. This time it's behind Courtney.
So the first in the queue with 2 stops is the man on screen in car 1. He's dumped his mandatory fuel.
So remember, Courtney's not really in this battle. This is a totally different phase of the race right now we're looking at. Courtney is effectively second from Lowndes because they've only made 1 stop each. Same with Van Gisbergen, same with Will Davison. So just got to wait for this to pan out. We're about 10 laps away from seeing where Lowndes arrives back out in terms of track position versus Whincup. Now, we'll give you the gap.
Courtney's in, so that was James in the background there, Scapey. So that takes a bit of the heat away for Whincup. Gives him good clean air at the moment to do these laps. One of the things that's been impressive about Whincup again this weekend is the bounce back. Tough race 3 in Adelaide. Big results for him here this weekend. Pole positions and authority performances on the racetrack. Courtney. Fuel in. The clear hose is the vent side. Remember, it's timed. They're not looking for the fuel to spill back.
So right now, the dangerous thing is that Jamie Whincup is a lap down. He'll get it back, but right now, if the safety car comes out, you're in strife.
Yeah, he was a lap down on Craig, and he held his ground over James. That's right, there's the risk.
That's the danger.
Here we go. Here comes Courtney. Here comes Whincup.
It's going to just get there.
Got him. And, oh man, that was contact. They did make contact, and has that damaged the front right corner of the Volvo? They're playing for keeps. And look, McLaughlin's checking the steering. It's right hand down. So he's checking the steering, but it looks to me to be a fraction right hand down, so there's a bent steering arm on the Volvo.
He's locked it up to McLaughlin. Little lock up on the approach in there to turn 4.
So he did a little steering check to make sure that it was okay. It's a bit hard to tell up that. We call it a back straight, but it isn't because of the curve. But when he goes back under the bridge in the run to turn 4, if we look on board, Van Giz is in as well. Together with Lowndes, he's in earlier than we predicted.
They may choose to vent some here. So remember, you've got to use the 120, but you don't. If it can't go in, if it fills the tank, it just gets vented.
How you going there, Haddo? Give us a nod, mate. Thank you. Really up in lane here, mate. I'll keep you posted.
So remember, one's got flow, one's venting. So look for the hose.
Car one's halfway down the back straight at the moment and approaching the braking area of turn 6.
Done.
Coming into the final complex is Whincup. You'll see him come on screen in a moment. There's Lowndes, left of frame.
Whincup's only now getting down to turn 7. There he is.
Yep.
This is going to be... Oh, no, they're both going to get by. I thought that was going to be interesting there.
So in this little straight shoot up here to turn 4 is where McLaughlin will get a real read on the front end of his car and whether there's much in the way of steering damage. And here's the contact between Courtney and McLaughlin. Bang. Right front to left rear.
Wheel to wheel.
I reckon that's just given... And in fact, it ended up with such a belt that it actually meant that Scotty had his hand off the wheel.
Here we go, on board. Watch this. Bang. Oh, yeah, it was a biggie, all right. That hit hard.
Yeah, so that's absolutely given that front right-hand track rod steering arm a tweak. There's Richard Holway, his engineer.
And the report back from Scott was that he couldn't stop it. He couldn't stop it coming into that part of the circuit. Therefore, he whacked into car 22. How much damage has it done? We'll find out after this. Welcome back. It's been a great weekend so far, and the crowd have responded 52,766 over the 3 days. That's up on last year. This Super Sprint format is an absolute winner. And it continues at our next event at Winton. And then, of course, over to Pukekohe Park Raceway in New Zealand. So Garth Tander comes in. Boys, I was just looking at some of the numbers in the ad break, and when it all cleanses again for the second round of pit stops, Mark Winterbottom will have made a healthy jump courtesy of that short stop. It was about 7 seconds, the stop that he needed. It will put him inside the top 10. Remember, he started at 13th. He drifted down to about 17th. So they've played a right card there.
The other really good one too, Matt, is Will Davison. He's come out, he's right in front of Courtney. He has jumped, so he's effectively third in this race at the moment. Courtney's diving down the inside as we speak, and he gets it done. Good move.
I just quickly went and have a chat with Richard Holway for Scott McLaughlin. He is adamant that Scott doesn't have any damage to his steering, and he thinks he should be fine for the rest of the race.
Okay, thanks, Brianna, as Jason Bright comes in.
I've had the same chat with Richard over the radio. All he says to you is, press on, mate, press on.
That's right.
yeah. Mate, it's not steering properly. Press on, mate, press on.
Right. Yeah, there's a difference between it finishing and then wheel aligning nicely. Right. But we'll give him that one. Yeah. I'd like to go down and see it on the setup pad.
Sort of the engineering sympathy for the driver.
Yeah, zero. Yeah, bad luck, mate. It's not our problem. This is Russell Ingall. We're looking at him at the moment.
Talk to you when you get back.
So into the pits for his second stop from position 3. Tumbling down the order now. So the man effectively in the lead with 2 stops done is Craig Lowndes. There are 2 more drivers to clear their stops. 3, in fact. Fabian Coulthard, Nick Percat, and off the road, car number 21, Dale Wood. Had some brake dramas yesterday and off a couple of times at turn 6. This time it's down at turn 2.
Lap cars everywhere. There you go. Yep, clear.
So Coulthard, Percat, and Jack Perkins are yet to stop. Everybody else has done 2. So 22 of the 25 cars completed their 120-litre fuel drop. Here's what happened. So for some reason, he ended up in the dirty line down there, Dale. And once you're out in the weeds there's no stopping it on the edge of that racetrack. It's going to be covered in dust and rubber. Caruso on the outside here is Todd Kelly with a little bit of a bump and grind with Jason Bright up into the hairpin. And there's Percat, car 222. So he's one of them that I mentioned before. In from a high position now as he takes on his fuel. Good qualifying performance for Nick and a nice recovery after yesterday's tough day.
Fabian Coulthard has also entered the lane, so cleanse the field. James Moffat, Norton Hornet, returns to the scene of his victory at Winton in 6 days' time. So make sure you come and join us at the Winton 400. That's where he broke through for his first career win. It's a great track. All the Victorian teams test there, so it always provides tremendous racing, a real racers circuit.
If you're wondering why, as we look at Fabian coming out after that second stop now, he's got the beard going this weekend too, Fabian. If you're wondering why the gap between Lowndes and Whincup was a little bigger than we were talking up in the early part of the race. Remember, Jamie spent a long time on those tyres and then spent a long time in traffic, so the rear tyres were hurting, and then he got bottled up. And I reckon that you'll find that everybody, not just Red Bull Racing, but everybody at this stage, certainly from early in the game, it's not done yet, they would have absolutely gambled on a safety car. Everybody would have said, probability says there'll be a safety car. None of that's happened so far, which is extraordinary. There's been 26 races coming in to this event, not including what's happened so far this weekend, but 36 Petters safety car interventions. So it's better than 100% certainty that it's going to pop up.
You're trying to put the mock on the racing.
Well, usually when you say it, you can be guaranteed that it'll appear. 4.5 seconds is the gap to this man, Jack Perkins, but he's only done one of the stops to take the mandatory fuel requirement. He got tangled up in qualifying this morning with sister car driven by Mark Winterbottom down at turn 2. Geez, very high at turn 4. We were talking earlier in the day, Mark, about the way the line there has altered over the years. Very different in the modern cars. Perhaps it's to do with either the cars or the track grip that they're doing differently than they used to.
Well, they're running what we call the high line. They actually use the gradient and run around the bowl of... We're on board to have a look. The Scott Pye, you see when you break it down there, you have always turned it hard and run down the hill, but they run around the outside more, and they use the banking to keep the mid-corner speed up. So it's a different technique. Everybody now uses that technique, and they all search for that little concrete apron right next to the guardrail where the highest grip level is. So you see some of the runs we've seen coming onto the straight. It's very important, that exit, and that's where most of the wheel spin comes when you accelerate the cars from 50 kilometres an hour in first gear right through to 270 kilometres an hour.
Really happy for Scott Pye this weekend, a 10th and a 7th so far. Meanwhile, Scotty McLaughlin's given it some jandle. And boy, won't that be some weekend, the Anzac Day weekend at the ITM 500. You can get your tickets via tickettech.co.nz. It's where he scored his first championship win. Can he go back and do it for the first time in a Volvo? Jandal's flat to the floor, but Craig Lowndes is our race leader. It's Tyrepower Tasmania 400. Just over 20 laps remaining in the 6th race of 2014. Craig Lowndes leads by 8.9 seconds over Jamie Whincup. James Courtney is 3rd. Will Davison in the Erebus Mercedes is 4th. And McLaughlin, Coulthard and Van Gisbergen. So 3 Kiwis in a row. And there's been a change to that order because Fabian snuck by. But this is what happens when Kiwis collide.
And this was a bit exciting. So Shane gets into the back of the Volvo and then lifts the throttle so that he doesn't make an illegal pass. Here it is again, looking from the rear bumper of Scotty McLaughlin's car. Whack. G'day in Kiwi.
Hey, bro.
Hey, bro. And then as they come off the corner, watch this. Sorry, man. So, bro. Yeah, bro. Shane gives him a wave and says, sorry, dude. And then Scotty waves back to him. Meantime, Fabian doesn't care about all this bro stuff. He just sneaks up the inside, even though he's one of them. So he's grabbed a spot here. That's outstanding. And he's 2nd in the championship and grabbing points, and he's got another one. So Coulthard's looking good. Younger tyres on that car are working nicely. So he's got that thing hooked up at the moment. He might have a cold, but it's not affecting performance. Bro.
I'm going to get you some jandals before we go to Pukekohe.
A chili bit. from a happy aid.
Hey, boys, I've just found the best seat in the house down here, approaching turn 1-2. Now, I spoke earlier in the day about the difficulty in negotiating this from a braking point of view. Watch the cars behind me. 200 kilometres now as they get to that hump. Now, remember we said you're turning right, then you've got to turn left while you're stopping the car. And when you come around here, when they're braking, you get a really good sense. If I duck down here, look at this, you can see the outside tyre. You get a strong sense of the importance of tyre pressure, of the camber of the outside tyre, of the springing of the car. It really is sensational. The dynamics of the chassis absolutely at play here. Beautiful to watch.
And check out the crowd too, Larko. That's the best seat in the house up there. I reckon the cars come barrelling straight towards you. That's where Scotty Pye went off. So Lowndes leads by 9 seconds now. We're going to pay some bills for the last time today, which means we can go all the way ad-free after this to the checkered flag. Welcome back. Well, yesterday's drive by Craig Lowndes was just awesome as he picked his way through the field after starting from the rear of the grid. Today's is just as good. From the very start, he out-dragged his teammate. He said that he had the fire in the belly yesterday to make the moves. They tuned up the car to let him be aggressive. And today, he's been flawless up to this point. Still no safety car, so things can change on lap 68 out of 84, but he's 9.4 seconds ahead of Jamie Whincup.
That is a great place to watch one of these cars in action. If you happen to be one of the crew members and you're on the signalling wall there, it's a thrill a minute. It's a thrill a second because they come through there at the slowest speed, 165 kilometres an hour, which is better than the old 100 mile an hour. Building speed, looking for a gear change from 4th to 5th and sliding. It's extraordinary. Now, Lowndes is in the lead. He's got 9.2 seconds buffer over Whincup, but there's a fair difference in their time and age on these tyres. So Craig came in lap 47, Jamie came in lap 42, so 5 laps difference of the tyres. This man on screen, Courtney, came in on lap 45, but the guys behind them that are starting to hump them down are Will Davison and Fabian Coulthard. Davison came in on lap 50 and Coulthard came in on 55. They are 4th and 5th with younger tyres. This is an 84-lap race, as you can see, bottom left of screen. We've still got a long way to go. Why would that be important? Well, today, as you can well see, it's a beautiful day here in Tassie. Lots of blue sky. The temp is up, and having young tyres on the car and splitting this race into equal portions and having a shorter stint on your last set of tyres is probably going to make a difference. And that's the game that Erebus and Brad Jones Racing with the Lockwood car have played here.
Absolutely. So you're on board now with Will Davison looking at the back of Courtney's car, and on the last 2 laps he was faster, and the last lap there was basically the same time. So this is a pretty healthy group, this one here, because Slade's right in behind Van Gisbergen. Mark Winterbottom made a huge amount of ground. We know that from that full time that we looked at the fuel gauge earlier. Gus Tander in the pit with maybe some front suspension, or
they had a problem
steering
with
geometry
power steering in earlier in the day, didn't they? Yeah. So it may be a recurrence. So on the left-hand side of screen there, you've got this intense battle between McLaughlin, Van Gisbergen, Tim Slade, and next in the queue is Mark Winterbottom. They're all battling for 6th and beyond.
Your point before about the tyre life, Jamie Whincup's the guy in the most amount of trouble. Because he came in on 42.
Yeah.
So those other guys are more than 10 laps better off in terms of tyre life. Now, the real problem is, if you do get a safety car, Whincup is the guy that's vulnerable in that pack.
This is Courtney. This is 3rd place in the race at the moment. And he's got a bit of oil pressure going there, 182 beats a minute. Sustained high heart rate in these cars is extraordinary. The physiological response to the speed and the heat is for the heart rate to bump up to cope with it. And whilst it's a different kind of fitness requirement in one of these race cars, it's a very serious one to be able to deal with the conditions, and they're very strange conditions. A work environment that's incredibly hot, lots of steering load and lots of foot load as well. A little safety tap to pressure that brake pedal. And you see the rear brakes locking, and he just got it stopped. That was teetering on the brink. Couldn't have been a millimetre later under brakes.
Nice, very nice. And he used the clutch very nicely for the gear change down to 1st. and he picked the clutch up softly at the last one, so it didn't grab the gear too hard. It's a little tap of the brake pedal that Neil referred to.
Any wonder the drivers end up with lower back and hip issues, because the left leg's on what we call the dead pedal. It's just a little carbon fibre stand to the left of the clutch pedal. And the right foot, most of the time around here, is hard on the throttle at 100%, so you effectively get around with your hip twisted. When you've been in the car for like Bathurst, for example, where you might do a double stint, you do genuinely get out of the car and you're on the tilt.
Yeah, Neil, we're talking about brakes earlier on. You saw Garth Tander in the garage. He's still in there. Hasn't got out of the car, though. They're actually bleeding the brakes. So I'd say they're overheated, possibly even got a leak. And that's not something you need around here. Very, very tough. Very hot in there, and the brakes look very ordinary, I've got to say.
Yeah, we can see them sticking some fluid in there at the moment as they bleed it. So this is the second toughest location on the tour for brakes. And we see mega numbers on the front brake rotor, and they watch it carefully on the caliper, and they, as you know, Larko, they paint the outside of the brake rotor as well with paint, and it burns off at the highest temp values. Essentially, they smoulder around here, Rihanna.
Yeah, Betty Clemenco, we just came into the garage and you were crocheting, but you've hit it now. How's the heart rate, or is that a strategy to keep you calm?
I've learned that if I crochet, my blood pressure goes down. I calmly look at the screen. If I put it away, I start getting nervous. But who couldn't? I mean, it's wonderful.
Will's getting quite close to James Courtney. What would a podium mean to you?
Everything. It's what we've been here for. That's what we're here for, just to get... I can't even talk. I'm just... I'll get there.
Fingers crossed for you. Get back to the crocheting. Calm your nerves.
Thank you.
Lee Holdsworth finished at 4th with Craig Baird at Sandown last year for Erebus. So to get on the podium, remember our V8 viewer vote, 60% of our voters said, nah, you can't do it. Well, Will's not far away. He's 4th, and he's hunting down James Courtney.
Great battle going on here, though, because it's Will. Oh, big lock up for Will over the top of the rise at turn 1. He locked up. It's very easy to do with the car turning, and it wants to leap into the air. And that was the point that I wanted to make. It's Coulthard at the moment who's on the fly. He's got the youngest tyres of anybody in the top 5. He came in on lap 55. His tyres are 5 laps younger than Will Davison on the left of screen in the AMG entry. And Will just gave his a little fly along the way. And these fellows are 13 seconds near enough off the lead of the race, and Lowndes has got 7.4 of those over Whincup. So this little battle that's going on between Courtney and then these two is an interesting one. James has still got a cushion, though. There he is. He's off to have a bit of a training camp session next week with his trainer, Phil Young, together with Tim Slade, Nick Percat. He's been working with Phil for many years. Trains him hard. They do a huge amount of work. So back to those remarks I made earlier about the high heart rate for James. They work these guys out very hard. In fact, Phil was involved as the personal trainer for Jenson Button for many years. Formula 1 driver.
But it's such an intense lap, Neil, isn't it? You don't really get a rest. This little piece here, even as you accelerate the car up to 270k, it's got a kink in the straight. See, it's not like you can just sit there and do nothing. Got to get yourself organised, got to position the car properly. It's quite bumpy just there, so you've got to make sure that you get the car in the right spot before you apply the brake. Huge brake loads at turn 6.
And it's flat through 5, but I wouldn't say easy flat, because if you're under the rear wing of another car, you get air disturbance. If there's any garbage on the road, or if you're a fraction wide of the ideal line, the car starts to slide and teeter. We've seen a few issues there over the years, and Coulthard, big lock-up. So blinded by the preceding car, and he made a mistake under pressure.
That may get Will home at that spot.
Well, they've both had one in the same spot now. So Will's was 2 laps earlier.
What Fabian's got to do now is not try too hard to get back there, because when you're driving them right on the limit at this stage of the race, the tyre condition has deteriorated. The cars move around, they slide more. That's why they're locking brakes. So you can't just get too urgent about getting back there. You've got to just work away again. Make sure you do a professional, diligent job of moving back towards Will Davison.
This is all good news for Fabian's championship assault, though. Remember that Craig Lowndes came into this round the lead, and then he made good points in that recovery yesterday. There's Brad Jones. He's the man at the helm of this operation here, Lockwood Racing, and it was the inside front that stopped the little lock-up momentarily when that side of the car unweighted for the left turn. and that's all it took for him to just drop a couple of car lengths.
Riding with Mark Winterbottom, who, as predicted, is inside the top 10 at the back end of this race. Started 13th, so a good rescue job for Frosty, who also moved up in the championship yesterday, up to 4th. He needs to stay close at this early stage of 2014.
Looking at sector splits here at the moment. Into the second sector, Lowndes, Whincup and Courtney are all pretty much doing the same speed. Will Davison was a whisker slower. Coulthard and McLaughlin are doing similar speed to the leaders. So everybody's locked into pretty much the same lap speed performance at the moment. And a 53.1 that lap for Lowndes, a 52.8 for Whincup, 2.8 for Courtney, 2.9 for Davison, 2.7 for Coulthard, and a 2.8 for McLaughlin. That gives you an idea of the relative speeds. There we are.
In fact, the whole top 10 are within, on that lap there, 0.2 of a second.
So Fabian's the fastest man, but you saw a minute ago graphically how hard it is to apply it. It's only a tenth or two here and there, but catching's relatively easy. To then be able to put a move on, that's a much tougher task.
So that was the gap there. First back to second, Lowndes back to Whincup. You can see the traffic. There's more traffic around Craig Lowndes at the moment. He's got the buffer. He's got 6.9 seconds. And now we're on lap 80 out of 84, so time's on his side as Garth Tander just goes back out and circulates. See if they've solved any of the problems there. Fabian Coulthard, that tiny error was enough to give Will Davison a big breath. So, right, I've dropped him for a second. I can hold this position.
And it may look, folks, like the guys aren't driving them very hard. They are driving them as hard as you can possibly drive the cars at the moment. The brake pedal would be long. Pads will have faded. Tyres are ordinary. They haven't got much fuel left. They're doing everything you can possibly do to drive the car as straight and as hard as you can.
It's coaxing now, isn't it?
Yep.
You've got to eggshell your way around, still make lap speed, but not use anything. You can't have the big, excessive, huge brake pedal mash. You can't lean on the throttle coming off the slow corners without bagging up in particular, the right rear tyre here. James Courtney's losing a little bit of pace relative to Lowndes and Whincup at the moment, and to Davison and Coulthard. He's the slightly vulnerable one in the top 5 pack. Just this last lap or two,
yeah, 1.8.
Lost a little bit of margin.
Yeah, so Davison's definitely moved up on James Courtney. So this is the battle for the podium that Davison will be trying so hard in these closing laps to get up to the back of James. And there's Fabian, who's made a little bit of ground back on Will, and there's James.
And how's this? You know, you make that tiny error down at turn 2, and what's that, 3 laps ago at least, and he's still having to claw back those meters. You just don't get them back easily there. You know, it's just not a cheap trick to be able to suddenly drive back up to the back of another car.
That's right. He's got it locked. Got to get it stopped.
That one's going to put a mark on that tyre. That'll be a problem when Will gets up to turn 4 now. He'll have to brake it a little early. If he tries to maximum attack the brake pedal up there, it'll fall to the flat spot, which makes it worse.
So the tyre ends up looking like a 50-cent piece. It finds the flat spot, and if you lock it again, it'll go to that spot, which is what Neil's saying. It's probably worse, not at turn 4, it's probably worse at turn 6.
It's for sheep stations now, so it doesn't really matter if he hurts the tyre more. So there's the gain along the bottom of screen for Fabian. He's clawed his way back. Lowndes, Whincup, Courtney, Davison and Fabian Coulthard on screen. This is equal to the best performance for Erebus.
And a good drive by Fabian to drag back this way. He said that he had to be patient when he did it. He's done exactly that. Now he's just going to look for a little gap. And the little gap has got to come from car position and exit drive.
Will wants
One more after this one, mate. One more after this one.
Yeah, how many laps? Because he wants to know what he's got to do to get out of this pressure.
Oh, he's gone high. He's gone high. Can Coulthard get him? No. He shuts the door on the way down out of turn 4. So close to giving it all away.
Now it's risk management for Will Davison now. He can't get by in this little section here. There's no way Fabian can make a pass in the next 3 corners here. So So you've just got to come out of turn 2 well. So get out of turn 2, make sure you position it well for the hairpin. So this is the spot. Don't lock a wheel. Get it turned. Get out of here well.
Okay, this is the last lap. Lowndes has got 6.2 seconds over this man. And he's 5 seconds up the road. Whincup over Courtney, but this battle is unresolved.
Got to get off there now. Nice drive. Nice.
So he's held him off, but Craig Lowndes, what a drive this has been. So much drama and angst yesterday, but he comes back and the smiling assassin gets angry and gets even. Terrific drive. Whincup second. James Courtney will round turn 7 for third. And Will Davison in Erebus Motorsport just holds off Fabian Coulthard. And Betty loves it. It's Brian Madison, the CEO of Erebus.
That right front is absolutely spent.
And that was tough, hard work. Well done, Will.
And I don't know whether you caught that message, but he said the right front was absolutely spent. So it was torched at the end.
Great drive.
The drive of Craig Lowndes today, when we all sit down and everything's settled, we'll look back through it and realise that he's put one of the best drives together. He started on the front row, but there's so much of a backstory to it that it could have gone pear-shaped. Well, he got away from Jamie Whincup. He was in an unusual role for Craig, where yesterday he was fighting left, right and centre. Today he was out there by himself. It was all down to him and the car, and him and Jeremy Moore. And they executed it perfectly for his 96th career win. He's edging closer and closer to the century.
And as you said, Matt, yesterday's performance to come from 25th to 5th and to cope with all the drama and intensity within the team overnight and come out and do that start set him up. That was such a powerful statement from him today.
Hasn't won the championship since 1999. You guys asked him on the desk yesterday, can you win the championship this year?
Yes.
He just fired straight back, yes, I can.
That's great. Very, very good drive.
We used to call him the kid. He always smiles, just a bundle of energy. And now there's an intensity that we haven't seen for a long time, an anger in his driving. He's willing to fight for every spot. And that may well have been a big turning point yesterday in terms of how the championship is going to play out.
Well, I said to him, Matt, that the start of the year is not normally his forte. The end of the year is normally that. Now, to be leading the series and to turn a drive on like that today is a big statement in this championship for 2014.
That's right. Craig Lowndes, it has been a drama-packed weekend for you. Yesterday was not your day. Today, from the front row of the grid and sailed off into the distance. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Look, it's a credit to all the guys in Red Bull Racing. You're right, yesterday was a mixed bag of results. You know, Jamie and I got over it and got on with it. Obviously, today was a brand new day. And, look, you know, it mattered for us what the strategy was going to play out off the line. And, you know, really focused on getting off the line. Well, we did that. The car was brilliant. Like, very rarely you have a good car that you can be able to be consistent every lap, and to do those 80-plus laps was really a treat.
It was this race last year that you said, in your words, was a championship-defining moment, but the wrong one. This weekend is a championship-defining moment the right way.
Well, yeah, look, it's been obviously, as I said, an up-and-down weekend, but, yeah, you're right. We've put our best foot forward. You know, we've obviously done a fantastic job. The guys have bounced back from yesterday, got over it, and, of course, you know, this weekend is very, very different to what was last year, 12 months ago. So, look, fingers crossed that the year can be the same. But hello to Levi and Chili out there, but, look, fingers crossed. Great job for JJ and obviously for Jamie.
And complete domination by Red Bull Racing Australia. Jamie Whincup taking all 3 pole positions on the podium for all 3 races. Congratulations.
Thanks, Rihanna. I didn't get a bad start. Lowndes got an absolute rocket. I must have been a 3-2 or something. So, keen to look at the data afterwards. He got a blinder, but he was too quick today. We did everything I could. I'll keep battling these Volvos. Had another battle with Scotty out there, but I was really struggling for tyres, held those guys back, and then the third set I was much happier with the car.
It was on in the middle of that race with you and Scott McLaughlin. Once again, you two seem to be tied together.
Yeah, and I saw James and Van Gies, they were all there, you know, so one mistake and I would have dropped back 3 or 4, but held it all together, as I say, much better on the last set.
Well done, Jamie. And James Courtney, Clipsal 500 winner on the podium yesterday. Congratulations, 3rd place today.
Yeah, 2 podiums in 2 days. It's it's excellent work by everyone at HRT. The guys have been working crazy hours, and to be able to reward them with 2 podiums is mega. So no, it feels really good, and also to be able to back up that Clipsal result.
And we head off to Winton next. You've had some good success there as well.
Yeah, well, Poland, we won the thing there last year, so it's a good little period for us at the moment. Hopefully we can go back there and get another podium, and pole would be great as well. So got to get some wins, more wins, and I'm missing Kaz and the kids are at home watching, so hope everyone's having a good day and hope the race was exciting.
Well done. Get up there and enjoy the champagne.
Cheers. Thanks, guys. Thanks, everyone at home.
These are our results, 1, 2 and 3. Holden, Lowndes, Whincup and Courtney. Will Davison there in 4th. Scott McLaughlin ends up in 6th. Mark Winterbottom, after starting 13th, played a different strategy game and finished inside the top 10. Good performance from Russell Ingall. He was quietly going about his business there, up to 11th. Jack Perkins in 18th. And Michael Caruso, Rick Kelly, Todd Kelly, James Moffat. So all the Nissans linked together. And a tough day at the office for Garth Tander, whose birthday it is tomorrow. So happy birthday, GT, 37 tomorrow. Time now for the podium. Here's Aaron Noonan.
Time to present the trophies for race 6 at the Tyrepower Tasmania 400. Our winner from Red Bull Racing Australia, Craig Lowndes. In 2nd place for Red Bull Racing Australia, Jamie Whincup. In 3rd place for the Holden Racing Team, James Courtney. And representing the winning team, Red Bull Racing Australia, is Mark Dutton. To present the 3rd place trophy, Stephen Wade, Queensland Regional Director for our naming rights sponsor, Tyrepower. To present the 2nd place trophy, John Fitzgerald, Chief Executive Officer of Tourism Tasmania. Presenting the winning team award, Crichton Lewis, Dealer Principal of Neil Buckby Motors. And to present the winner's trophy, David Wilson, Chief Executive Officer of Tyrepower. There you have it, your race 6 podium finishes at the Tyrepower Tasmania 400.
All smiles at Red Bull Racing Australia. Thanks, Aaron. So 96 career wins now for Craig Lowndes. He's not going to mess around. If I was Roland Dane, I'd be running and running hard. In fact, anyone down there should be running. Collateral damage.